Part 221. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2206. Oh. Is there a strange creature here? Do you know its strength? I don't know, but he can resist my attack. Then go and have a look. In the town of Dashan's home, it is not as its appearance suggests. There is no understanding of outsiders. In fact, there are still many local technological facilities here, as well as measures to control outsiders and so on. When the frog-like creature took out his brain and reported to his immediate boss, who was also a galaxy-level powerhouse, said this casually without paying too much attention. As a local galaxy-level powerhouse, this powerhouse is not as arrogant as the galaxy powerhouses outside, nor does he have the aura to claim to be a great powerhouse. Because above the North Star, the galaxy level, especially the powerhouses at the beginning of the galaxy, are nothing at all. Just like someone said, above the North Star, if you throw a brick down and kill 100 people, it will be nothing. There will be one that is galaxy class. There is no need to worry about why there are such powerful bricks. In short, this shows that there are still a lot of galaxy class ones on the North Superstar, but 100 to 1 is definitely an exaggeration, but it is definitely not that small. His true form is a shrimp-like creature, with its body hunched over and walking with bounces. People on the road who knew his true identity were extremely respectful to him. When he arrived at a trading place, he saw his target person. At first glance, this is a strong man who is not too weak in strength. He is dressed in a dark shell and does not seem to be weak at all compared to his shrimp body. Could it be that it's still a galaxy level? The shrimp creature was slightly startled. Although as mentioned above, galaxy level powerhouses are not that rare, but they are definitely not too common. Outsiders, and a strange outsider galaxy level, are in their area of the great god's home. It is also very rare. He suddenly became interested and wanted to see what this strong man was planning to do in their place. There have been several times before that he discovered the galaxy-level powerhouses of the other two major forces, and then the two galaxy-level powerhouses reluctantly paid the tolls, thus avoiding the accusation of spies. If there is another one, he will have a good extra income. Is this guy looking at the intelligent brain? Could it be that he wants to come here to buy an intelligent brain? Moreover, he is a galaxy-level being. He comes to a small town to buy an intelligent brain instead of going to a city further away to buy the most advanced customization. Is it a smart brain? This galaxy-level being was slightly startled when he saw Jia Yan asking about Zhineo. In this northern giant, although the influence of technology is not that great, it is still an indispensable thing. Even in a place that is not advanced and has completely barbaric customs, there will be huge utilization of personal intelligence, because this kind of thing will help a strong man a lot. The most important and most intuitive way to use it is to open the smart brain and check the database to see what level the strong men are preparing to fight. As long as there is a free database of strong men nearby and there are strong men willing to pay. By disclosing his personal data, those who are prepared to fight him will know what level the strong man in front of them is, which can almost save lives. After all, on the North Star, under normal circumstances, it is difficult to judge the strength level of a strong person. It often happens that strong people at the heaven level or even the earth level challenge the existence of the Domain Lord. As a result, they are defeated by the Domain Lord as soon as they come up. There is a situation where the Lord's eyes are frightening to death, and in such a situation, if there is a territory lord who is willing to disclose his personal information for a fee, and the person who challenges the heaven or earth level sees that the opponent is the territory lord on his brain, then it must be too late to kneel down and worship, so how could he be willing to fight again? So for this shrimp-like creature, it is very strange that Jia Yan is still buying brains in such a small place. That's not to say that the intelligence brains in their town must have quality problems. but the intelligence level here is definitely not high enough to be used by a galaxy-level intelligence. A galaxy-level intelligence must be of a higher grade and have better performance. This guy is pretty good. From the looks of it, he really wants to buy it. At this moment, Jia Yan was in trouble. Because he saw the so-called price, and then felt a little depressed. He didn't have a penny on him. This guest, do you want to buy it? If you don't want to buy it, can you give in? Someone else wants to buy it? The clerk didn't know that the person in front of him would be a galaxy-level person. Seeing Jia Yan showing a hint of cash-strapped expression, he immediately lost interest in explaining. In a place like this, it is difficult to measure the strength of a strong person, but grasping the other party's property can also indirectly measure the strength of a strong person. After all, powerful beings generally have money, and the existence in front of me actually has no money, which means that he is not a strong person, and he will be bullied if he is bullied. Jia Yan really wanted to say that this clerk was a little bit conceited. But he endured it. This was just the first few days after he arrived on this planet. It can be said that Jia Yan didn't know enough about this place. He casually had a conflict with a roadside clerk. Then you are just getting crazy and seeking death. Your Excellency, I think you might as well make money by publishing the data. At this time, he heard a shrimp-like creature behind him suddenly speak. Jia Yan saw this shrimp creature when he first arrived here, not because of how powerful he was, but because the pedestrians and shopkeepers standing on the street were extremely respectful to him, indicating that this person should be a strong man with status. Oh, do you want to make the data public? I'll think about it. Jia Yan nodded calmly, and then looked back at the shrimp-like creature. The other party's face didn't look malicious at all, so Jia Yan was slightly relieved. Such a powerful person with a high status took a fancy to him, which meant that the other party had already felt the difference in him. Fortunately, at least at this moment, the other party didn't have the slightest malice. Jia Yan calmly exited the store without saying anything about buying anything. There is currency on this planet. At least I know this from this store. However, I think it is not that easy to confirm whether the currency is universal. The North Star is a super scary planet with a diameter of 1 light-year. If you want to describe how big it is, you can simply describe it as being almost boundless. With Jia Yan's current 3-meter body, even if he uses the strength of the middle-level peak of galaxy to fly, you have to eat and drink, and it takes tens of millions of years to fly half a circle. In such a large place, currency unification is impossible, unless there is a powerful person who created the planet from the beginning to fix the currency situation. But judging from the feeling of creating the North Star, he should not care about it. People who care about trivial matters. Then, the shrimp-like creature that seemed to have a certain status just now said something about public data to make money. Does he know my strength? That's right. I just attacked a star-level frog creature guarding the gate and easily defused the opponent's attack. This shows that at least my strength is above the star level. The data can be disclosed. What the hell is making money? After Jia Yan walked to the street, he could still feel the eyes of the shrimp creature. At this time, he suddenly felt a little depressed. Without the help of Edish's information, he felt like a blind man, unable to move even an inch, without any information. Can't get it? This is a habitual thing. After suddenly losing it, there will be problems. At this moment, Jia Yan had such an idea. It really feels like a penny can stump a heroic man, but I don't want to expose the information that I am an outsider so quickly. Otherwise, there is a high possibility of being exploited. So what should I do? Jia Yan was embarrassed and felt that he was a strong man who was in a very poor state. This feeling was not so profound when he was in the starry sky, but it became very strong in this place. This is one of the reasons why many foreign strong players feel a bit unbalanced after arriving at Biostar. However, compared to these strong men, it is easier for Jia Yan to correct his attitude, not because he has a good mentality, but because he is very young, and the memories of the weak era still remain in his heart. As long as he recalls it a little, the mentality can be corrected quickly. How about that? Let me see how to make some money first. It seems that some of those smart brains are not that expensive. Of course, this is also because I don't understand the basis of currency measurement. Maybe they are also expensive. What Jia Yan wants is first-hand information. Only Ji now will have intelligence, because he regards this matter as Ji now above the starry sky outside. But it's more or less the same. After all, North Giant is also a planet in the Milky Way. Even if it's a little different, the difference is definitely not huge. You should still have basic intelligence gathering capabilities. This friend, I think you must be the alien from the past few days. Suddenly, the familiar voice that had just sounded next to Jia Yan made him pause for a moment, then looked back. It was that shrimp creature again. At this time, the other party seemed to be a being who had seen through everything, looking at Jia Yan with a faint smile. In fact, this is not difficult to imagine. The shrimp creature is a local strongman in this great god's house, and the great god's house is one of the managers near this big forest. Although it is officially under the jurisdiction of the princess, the intelligence department is independent. It is extremely simple to get information about a powerful man who descended from the sky and caused strange phenomena that could be seen thousands of kilometers away. If you expect them not to know that a strong man is coming, it is like hiding their ears and stealing the bell. It is simply impossible. Therefore, in Jia Yan's self-awareness, he believed that it was impossible to enter the North Superstar in a covert manner. Although no one wanted to find out who was coming, after all, such a thing would happen every once in a while, among which most of them are weak creatures from outside, such as Sean Kong, Venerable, or Stellar class. Galaxy class people live very well in the starry sky outside, so there are fewer of them. This shrimp creature doesn't have to worry so much. If it is a weak creature, it will become a strong native in their forest when it comes, and it will not be that easy to leave. But after seeing Jia Yan, he suddenly understood that the existence coming this time was probably not a weak creature, at least not too weak for him. Maybe it's a galaxy level, because this powerful creature who doesn't understand anything is probably the outsider. That's why he came forward and asked Jia Yan. I don't know what you are talking about. What does visitor from outer space mean? Suddenly, a cold light appeared in Jia Yan's eyes. He never thought about killing people and silencing them, but that didn't stop him from breaking out and leaving the server when he realized something was wrong. Before he came, he knew that in the territory of the great god's house, the strongest ones were those at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. Although it was difficult for him to use his subspace talent at the moment, if he wanted to leave, he could still take advantage of his flying creatures to quickly get away. Because he is also a mid-level peak of the galaxy, he is still somewhat sure of escaping under the siege of forces whose strongest strength is no more than the peak of the mid-level galaxy. Your Excellency, there's no need to hide it. By the way, extraterrestrials are not big news in Biostar, and you don't have to worry about what we will do, because we all know that extraterrestrials are very poor, and they don't have the skills to practice or anything like that. Almost all of it comes from our superstars, so there is nothing to plan for you, so why should I bother you? Seeing that Jia Yan was extremely vigilant, the shrimp creature immediately smiled at them and explained his attitude to Jia Yan. Oh, is that so? Well, Your Excellency, I am leaving the great god's house. Since you are not interested in me, please don't block the way. Jia Yan would not believe the other party's lies. If a strong man was so easy to deceive, then he would not be able to achieve his current strength. Although there is no flaw in what the shrimp creature said, he did leave all his belongings outside when he came to Biostar. It is true that he looks poor, but it does not mean that he is really poor. If others have any bad intentions, it is completely after taking him down, you can force him to find out the location of star Edisha, run out of the North Star to find it, and then bring back a lot of resources. Many people must be willing to do this kind of thing after knowing that he is a strong man at the middle level of the galaxy. Jia Yan is a strong man at the middle level of the galaxy. Although overall, he is considered to be at this level. There are poor people there, but Edisha itself has some value, and some of the resources obtained from the Zerg Queen's power are still retained, and those are all money. No matter how few mosquito legs are, they are still meat. Oh, Jia Yan's mosquito leg has a lot of meat. Of course I won't force you to stay if you want to leave, but sir, I know your situation. You don't have any money, right? I can lend you some money. If you want to make money, you can soon make it by disclosing your strength. It's just a smart brain. If you are a strong person at the beginning of the galaxy, you only need to make it public for a few days and you will earn enough money for an ordinary smart brain. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2207. Jia Yan's eyes became slightly dangerous, and he suddenly looked back, only to see the galaxy-level local powerhouse behind him. The body of the shrimp creature is bent, and its eyes have no eyelids when smiling. They are just so big and exposed, which looks extremely weird. Sir, how do you know I am short of money? He did not directly respond to the shrimp creature's words, but asked coldly. No matter where you are, it is very, very unpleasant to inquire about another strong person. Not to mention that Jia Yan is still a peak mid-level star in the galaxy. He naturally has no idea that the other person is thinking about himself. Will only think that this guy is making up his own mind. Sir, I don't mean any harm. The specific situation is that the guard at the door reported to me that a strange strong man has arrived, and this strong man is likely to be at the star level or above. As this area the leader of the guards, I will naturally come over to take a look, and you, haha, you yourself know that your strength is indeed enough for me to pay attention to, so I have been following you. As for your lack of money, of course it is this, I saw it in the process. The shrimp creature was actually very honest and told his reasons for following Jia Yan. Such words naturally made Jia Yan's sense of understanding greatly increase. After all, logically speaking, there is no need for the other party, or there is no need to tell him so much, but after explaining it, a feeling of goodwill is released. However, this goodwill is not friendly. It is just the other party's responsibilities and the fact that he does not pay enough attention to Jia Yan. If he knew that Jia Yan would be harmful, or sensed that Jia Yan had some secrets, he must have the attitude won't be that way. Besides, it has been following me. Earlier in the store, it even vaguely revealed its identity as an outsider. That was too dangerous. Haha, I didn't expect that someone like me could actually attract your attention. Thank you for your concern. I'm short of money. I don't know how the public information you mentioned works. Although Jia Yan didn't believe the other party's lies, he still had a very correct attitude towards making money. The worst he could do was ask him and leave. He couldn't chase her into the mountains and forests, he didn't show any threat, and he had no wealth, so what was the point of chasing? In Biostar, Jia Yan believed that his value as a strong man was greatly reduced. Anyone who chased a pauper like him who had just arrived on the planet was mentally retarded. Besides, his strength is not weak. Let's not talk about whether he can win despite fighting the enemy to death. Let's just say that they won, but they gained nothing. What's the point? Oh no, as mentioned before, the corpses of strong men are also useful. There seems to be such utilization techniques on the North Star. However, compared with the possible casualties, many people will not risk their lives to do this. This is the right thing to do. Otherwise, with so many seemingly powerful people everywhere, wouldn't they all become targets? Your Excellency, you don't have to worry about what I say. The fundamental existence of our great God's family is to survive and to attract new members. You know, when I judged that you were an outsider, I was thinking about whether I could bring you in. You have been absorbed into our organization. You must also know in the process of getting to know our great God's house. Most of the people in our great God's house are alien visitors, which is what they think of as outsiders, outsiders like you. Those who are outsiders are exactly what we want to recruit, so let outsiders like us unite, friends. The opponent's shrimp creature turned out to be like a lotus flower with tongue, which made Jia Yan believe it. But he persisted in the idea that if something went wrong, there must be a monster. What's more, he understood better that he could not easily join a local force. Even if everything the other party said was true and sincere, Jia Yan, it is impossible to stay in one place for a long time, because his ambition is to quickly advance to the territory lord level. Above this northern superstar, territory lord creatures are not simple creatures, and even here, territory lords are not that easy to break through. Yes, it requires more opportunities, knowledge, and even killing. And to stay in one force and spend time safely, is it possible to have the above things? None, especially since the other party said that they are still a so-called outsider force. They are probably so poor that they may not even be able to afford crotchless pants. Therefore, Jia Yan believes that he still has to join any force. The matter of the Zerg Queen's force is still fresh in his mind. If not, you still have to create a force yourself, such as another yin-yang sect? Friend, thank you very much for your love, but I have to consider everything you said. Please tell me about the way to make money you just mentioned. I will get my brain first. Jia Yan's words seemed to give the other party a misunderstanding, thinking that he was really considering joining the House of Great Gods, so the Xiaozi creature looked slightly happy, and then talked about the disclosure of strength method of making money that he just talked about. After listening, Jia Yan suddenly felt a sense of enlightenment. I see. There are disadvantages on the North Star that cannot be seen by the strength of the major creatures, but the people on this planet are not fools, and will always find ways to minimize these disadvantages. The strong man has disclosed his information. People around him who want to know about this strong man, click once to open the information, and need to pay a portion of the money, part of which will be received by the strong man. To put it bluntly, it is to use your own intelligence in exchange for money, and this kind of thing can be closed anytime and anywhere. As long as you are strong enough, you can make money pretty fast. So that's how it is. It's such a way to reveal one's strength. After Jia Yan understood, he nodded to this strong man, "Thank you, sir, but I have no public thoughts for the time being. I'm going to see if there are other ways to make some money. If it doesn't work, I'll catch some wild animals it shouldn't be illegal to sell, right? We'll talk about it later. As for your idea of joining the Great God's house, let me consider it and observe it for a few days before making any decisions." "Absolutely, you can think about it. I thought about it for a long time before joining." The shrimp creature has no intention of forcing Jia Yan. This kind of thing cannot be forced. Seeing Jia Yan fly out from the exit of the Great God's house again, the shrimp creature's expression changed from the previous enthusiasm to indifference. It's normal. Even Jia Yan doesn't believe it. How can a galaxy-level powerhouse have so many emotions? Even if Jia Yan is so young, he doesn't often show joy. This extremely enthusiastic shrimp creature is not too old. Even though it is small, there are still some castles. An outsider? That's all. Ever since the Great God's house killed a newly arrived galaxy-level powerhouse, its reputation has become bad. The superiors have taught us that we can no longer engage in foreign powerhouses, otherwise it will be regarded as rebellion. I can't be punished for the crime of killing a foreign pauper. You know, the last time they killed the Galaxy class, there was nothing good except his flesh and blood. It would be better to rob the local people. A galaxy-level powerhouse will definitely gain more than that. Besides, if you invite an outsider to join my great god's house, as long as his strength is as I judge and he is a galaxy level, then I will get a little reward. Otherwise, why would I bother with such an outsider? I'm full. Can you hold on? Huh. The shrimp creature muttered to itself and left the place. Jia Yan's arrival was just an episode for him, an episode that was enough for him to show up. But if Jia Yan disappeared like this, it would not be an inevitable thing for him. Even if Jia Yan didn't show up at all, if you don't come to the great god's house anymore, you won't suffer any loss. He didn't feel unhappy even though he came but didn't join. Of course, he felt a little regretful, but it was a pity that he would lose the commission for introducing new people to join. But not to the point of killing people. After all, these new outsiders are too poor to find out where the treasure is, or there is no money in the treasure place at all. Otherwise, if they have to pay all their wealth to enter the North Star, then the gain will not be worth the loss in the end, because if they go out to Biostar once, they will also consume a lot of money. Call out. Buzz buzz. Listening to the unique buzzing sound of mosquitoes caused by flapping the air in his ears, Jia Yan felt a bit like reminiscing. It's already some distance away from the town of the great god's home. He did not feel the pursuers coming, so he concluded that this galaxy-level existence really had no intention of chasing him. Since the other party has no intention of chasing me, no matter what kind of idea this idea comes from, it is a good thing for me. In short, they do not want to kill me, then I can do what I said before, make some money first, buy a smart computer, and take the first step. Jia Yan sighed. There was a time when he couldn't even think of a smart computer, which made him very anxious. A penny really stumped the heroic man. He felt this unique embarrassment today. I just observed the supplies collected by several small stores of the great god's house. They don't want any animals, or even some powerful creatures, but those that use more parts and have a wide range of uses. Jia Yan looked around and began to look for prey. As a galaxy-level expert who had stayed in this forest for several days, he was quite familiar with the Ludi mountain forest. Especially the species collected in the store, most of which he had seen before. Don't be surprised, for a strong person, with just one brainwave power, he can sweep away the creatures in the forest. It's just that Jia Yan's judgment is still a bit wrong, that is, he thinks that those small shops don't want strong creatures, but this is not the case. If the creatures that come are above the galaxy level, no matter which kind, they are very powerful. They were happy to accept it, but when it reached the star level, they didn't dare to accept it, because they couldn't afford it, and they didn't know how to sell it, so they accepted it now. This misunderstanding will not be resolved until Jia Yan gradually understands this planet in the future. Puff. Within 2 days, a front foot shot out and nailed an elephant-like creature to the ground. Jia Yan's brainwave power surged up and he caught the elephant-like creature. Then he looked at it. A small group of corpses of creatures behind him nodded with satisfaction, then levitated, carrying these creatures, and flew to the home of the great god. For a galaxy-level powerhouse, it is quite a waste of time to waste 2 days to capture these creatures whose strength is less than galaxy level, but for Jia Yan, this is his first solid step. The only way to go. When Jia Yan returned to the great god's house, when he saw the frog creature again, the other person did not take action against him, but made a gesture of inviting him in. No matter how you say it, the frog creature is also an intelligent creature, and its strength is not weak. Naturally, they understand that the creature recruited by their immediate boss, a majestic galaxy-level powerhouse, will definitely not be easy to provoke. So he no longer had the slightest hostility towards Jia Yan. Jia Yan did not pay attention to his thoughts, but quickly flew up and arrived at a small store built in a tree hole in the great god's home. "Sir, are you here to sell these creatures?" When Jia Yan arrived, the clerk's eyes lit up. After all, there were so many creatures behind Jia Yan. It would take a lot of time for an ordinary hunter to kill a creature, but the creature in front of him was good. He brought so many creatures as soon as he went out, so he must not be too weak. Of course, if they are strong, most of them will not see the rewards of hunting such weak prey. Moreover, if they hunt weak creatures, they will be monitored, so generally no strong person will hunt such weak creatures. Therefore, it is rare to encounter such a large-scale prey sale in this kind of store once or twice a year. Yes, I sell it, just don't deceive me about the price. Jia Yan flew over calmly, then the brainwave power did not relax, and the large piece of animal carcasses that looked like houses followed behind it did not land at all. In other words, there was no absolute need to sell it to the store. Yes, I will definitely give you the best price. How about you listen to my quotation first and then decide whether to sell or not? The clerk nodded quickly and bowed. He also understood that Jia Yan didn't want to be tricked by him. Many strong men are not really in need of the money they were deceived. Even if the person in front of me still seems to be a little short of money, seeing how he can catch so many prey after just going out for a day or two, he must be short of money as well. It's temporary, but they just don't want to be cheated. This is a matter of mood and attitude. Good. Jia Yan nodded calmly. After another half an hour, Jia Yan flew out of the small shop with satisfaction. He knew that he should have been cheated a little bit, but this loss was already within the acceptable range for him. Don't treat him as an easy target. This was Jia Yan's limit. Very good, you can now buy intelligent brain. Jia Yan played with the round currency controlled by his brain waves. He vaguely felt that this currency felt different from ordinary currency, as if there was some faint power inside. Is this anti-counterfeiting technology? Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2208. It's just that this power is too weak, and it is useless to him as a galaxy-level person, and it is even useless to an Earth-level powerhouse. In other words, it can only be used as currency. Sir, you are here again. Are you here to buy a brain? When Jia Yan arrived at the small shop that sold intelligence brains, the clerk, who had been extremely unfriendly to Jia Yan, turned pale in an instant, and then he greeted him respectfully and arrogantly. Jia Yan understands very well why. Because the other party must have known from that galaxy-level prawn creature that Jia Yan was not weak. He didn't have the slightest arrogance because the other party knew his strength, because he was not yet in that position, let alone with such a clerk, there was no need to get angry. Yes, I'm here to buy a brain, but I hope you don't sell me one with a back door. You know what I'm talking about. Now that the other party knows that Jia Yan is not a weak existence, then whether the prawn creature will let him sell some smart brains with hands and feet to himself is something that Jia Yan needs to worry about, so when Jia Yan thinks like this when he was there, he didn't hide anything and said it directly. Okay, I won't give you that kind of thing, my lord. Unexpectedly, the clerk's expression changed, and he quickly and respectfully agreed. It looked like he had really been asked to do something by that prawn creature. This is too normal. If an outsider like Jia Yan can know a lot of Jia Yan's privacy without much cost, then they are still willing to do it. Whether they want to recruit or use force against Jia Yan, it is very shortcut and low-cost method. Fortunately, Jia Yan spoke first. The clerk was so frightened that even though he still had some tricks up his sleeve when giving out the items, he definitely wouldn't be so straightforward. Is this the highest quality? I didn't expect it to be so cheap. Jia Yan received a brain that was about the size of a human fist. For a 3-meter-long creature like him, Such a brain was not that big. After looking at it, it didn't have any unique sense of technology. It's not expensive for adults, but it's not cheap for local strong men. The stronger ones will go to big cities to buy, so it's generally not easy for us to sell these goods. Out. The clerk answered all Jia Yan's doubts and his attitude was extremely good. Well, the registered name is written randomly, right? Or does it need to be verified on your side? Jia Yan looked at it and saw that the CNAO still needed to register a name, which made him not so happy. Yes, you need to register your name with me. Of course, on Biostar, the name is just a code name, but no one force can unify Biostar, so go a little further, let alone the registered name. Even on the internet all operators have changed to other forces, so registration and other things are completely indifferent. The clerk actually knew a lot and said a lot to Jia Yan. Well, let me register it. Jia Yan followed the clerk's instructions and registered his name. He didn't hide anything and directly registered his name Jia Yan. After all, he has come to the center of the Milky Way. If anyone here knows him, Jia Yan will only feel honored. Of course, this is not possible. Only he himself can carry forward Jia Yan's name. Registered, sir. Well, I'm leaving, thank you for your advice. No, this is what I should do. The purchasing process this time was not as contemptuous as last time. After all, Jia Yan's strength is understood by the other party. The fairly good shopping experience made Jia Yan feel good. Moreover, after having a smart brain, he seemed to have opened the door to the North Star, or should I say, this area. There were so many things he could understand in an instant. But it can't be like this. The events I'm searching for are likely to be tracked by that guy. Whether this smart brain has been tampered with is still unknown. If it has been tampered with, then I can only do it step by step, or even you cannot reveal your thoughts, otherwise you will be tracked and your life may be in danger. Jia Yan wanted to understand a lot, and then he searched a lot of things quietly. All of this was about a lot of basic knowledge. He used the remaining money to open a hotel room in a small town. It couldn't be called a luxury room. After all, he sold so many animal carcasses and didn't make much money. It was just not too high-end and not too bad. Room. This is a giant tree cave hotel with a diameter of more than 50 meters. Jia Yan lives on the 60th floor. There are 100 floors above, but most people don't live in it. After all, it is too expensive. The 60th floor is more than 500 meters high. Looking at the outside world, almost all places can be seen at a glance. It's so high. No wonder I saw a tree here that reaches straight to the sky and the earth from a distance. It turns out to be this hotel. It looks like something owned by the great god's house. It's just that the occupancy rate is not that high. Is it a loss to him? Jia Yan looked around from a distance and felt relaxed and happy. But he didn't look any further. Instead, he returned to the room and sat down on the carpet. He began to continue searching with his brain, and at the same time, he moved from the initial simple search content to a slightly deeper search content. But these search contents are often all-inclusive, and it is impossible to tell what Jia Yan is trying to search for, because if there are really people who steal his secrets, then Jia Yan's next target will be known through the search contents. Why, there may be hidden dangers. In fact, Jia Yan also understood all aspects of the knowledge content of this North Star region in the large search content. Among them, he focused on writing down things such as maps, distances to key cities, and routes along the way, danger and more. In this way, after Jia Yan searched a lot, he gradually built a huge rough model of nearby regional forces and cities, plus humanistic features in the depths of his mind. For him, this is not an impossible thing, or it should be said that it is an ability that any strong person has, because strong people are different from ordinary creatures, their brains and even each, all have different capacities and memory abilities from ordinary creatures. Even though the body seems to have been shrunk now, this has not affected Jia Yan's memory in the slightest, so he can do such a thing. In other words, after reading a lot, he memorized all the real and fake things in his mind. Oh, this is the disadvantage of not having Atissa. It's a pity. If it can follow me into the North Superstar, why do I need to spend so much effort? After Jia Yan remembered all this, he silently reorganized many of his itineraries. First of all, go to a real big city. The brain bot there is more reliable. Even if the shrimp creature here jumped out and told me that he didn't do anything, I wouldn't believe him. Jia Yan has begun to doubt the shrimp creature, so no matter what, the knot in his heart cannot be eliminated. So he decided that the first thing he needed to do was to get a really useful intelligence brain. According to the information he searched, a certain kind of intelligence brain used only by strong people would be sold in real big cities. This kind of intelligent brain will be connected to the network and communicate with the strong through neural control. In this way, the behavior pattern of each intelligent brain can be understood by the strong, so there is no possibility of manipulation. No, but it has been reduced to the lowest level, and it is a big name model, but even the strong ones at the domain lord level are using it. Presumably no one would think that Jia Yan, a small mid-level galaxy existence, is more important than the domain lord. Come and modify one to track yourself? But buying this thing really requires a lot of money. The way I make money now, if I want to make that much money, I have to kill thousands of ordinary prey. Even if I kill the people in this mountain forest, the three major forces probably won't agree either. Jia Yan smiled bitterly. After all the talk, the subject of money came up again. This money can really make a mill turn a millstone. Why didn't you think it was hard to make money before? No, I should be in a place where I am not strong enough to dominate. If I am strong enough, for example, if I am a domain lord, in the local area, if I want a small amount of money, several forces will be eager to give it to me. I just want it. I'll leave and don't cause trouble here, but I'm just a strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, so they can't have the slightest tolerance for me. Everything returns to its starting point, strength. Even though Jia Yan thinks that his strength is pretty good, but if he really wants to compare with the domain lord level existence, then he is still completely inadequate. If he really has the strength of the domain lord, then even if he doesn't give him money, Xiazi creatures and other powerful beings from the house of God will not fart. Okay, I choose to reveal my strength. Forget it, wait until we get to a big city. Revealing our strength here will have too big an impact. When Jia Yan used his intelligence brain, he knew what the method of disclosing one's strength was to make money. He logged into the strength observation program that comes with this smart brain, and then the level of the strong person he wants to observe will be displayed on the level. The higher the level of the strong person, the more money he needs to show up. And if you want to click on the specific information of a strong person, you need more money. Part of this money will be collected by the operator of the program, and the other part will be collected by the observing strong person. After all, if someone discloses their information to you, how can he not charge you for it? Otherwise, who would? There are several benefits of doing this. One is to promote a new industrial model. The other is to eliminate many unnecessary battles. For example, some weak people do not know that they are strong in front of them and run away. Provocation results in death. Thirdly, it is also the benefit of the strong. When they don't want to be disturbed, they reveal their strength, and then they will not dare to come if they don't open their eyes. And you can also make a little money. But there are many disadvantages, and some articles may even endanger the lives of those whose identities are disclosed. For example, once one's strength and identity are disclosed, the more exposed the strong person is, the more people will see the strong person. Once there are strong people who are stronger than him, they are ready to fight this strong person. The idea is to attack and kill, which means you have greater confidence. And after it was made public, many battles did not happen. The entire area would become a peaceful place where identities were disclosed. If you see the strong, you will retreat, and if you see the weak, you will attack. Not only will there be no progress, but it will make people lose their confidence. The situation has changed to become more complex and profit-oriented. Hey, no wonder I saw several reports before, saying that so-and-so was surrounded and killed because he disclosed his strength. The creation of this program was completely criticized on the internet. But to me, it's nothing, I just need to start making some money at a certain time. Jia Yan is not afraid of the public affairs of software, because he can choose a lower level of publicity, and even hide a little bit of strength. Of course, this strength cannot be adjusted upwards, but can only be adjusted downwards. It is okay to adjust it a little. The program is not allowed to adjust too much. It's great. For me, this is a good way to make quick money. Especially for the mid-level experts in the galaxy, the income is quite considerable. Of course, it is not as much as a regular job, but it is easy. If a strong man goes to a strange place and chooses to reveal his strength, the nearby strong men and ordinary people will definitely be shocked as to why there is such a strong man near their home. Then they will pay a lot of money to watch this. According to the information of a strong person, this stage is the time when this strong person collects money most ruthlessly. This is what Jia Yan wants. Tomorrow morning we will leave for the nearest city, but this city is also the city of the great god's home. It is best to leave quietly, and my information was leaked by the great god's home. Now that people know about it, they must still be interested in a powerful outsider like me, and it will be very troublesome to be targeted by them. Jia Yan knew that he was noticed by the shrimp creature, and he should have passed his information to it. People from the great god's house would still pay some attention to a suspected galaxy-level powerhouse. When he arrived in another city, they would probably pay more close attention to it. In this way, Jia Yan was not so calm and composed about his trip to the next city. To buy a brain, you can't go to the city, but to cities of other powers, or even big cities. This city is too small, and it is the home of a great god. But this does not prevent me from making a fortune there. Jia Yan smiled. The next day, the high hotel window was opened, and a 3-meter large creature flew out of the hotel window hundreds of meters high under the suppression and huge gravity of the northern superstar, and flew straight out. He is Jia Yan, who has already paid off his check-in payment. He walked neatly, and instead of returning to Ludi Forest, he went directly in the opposite direction of Ludi Forest. Sir, he has already left, and is heading inland. It seems that the direction is another city in our great god's home. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2209. Oh. This guy actually went to the city. I thought that the outsiders who just arrived in Biostar wanted to get to know each other safely before setting off. Unexpectedly, this guy is quite impatient. That kind of thing. The shrimp creature was in his own office where he was stationed. Hearing that his subordinates came to report Jia Yan's movements, a flash of thought flashed in Gujing Buobo's eyes. Send me the news and talk to the people in that city about the doubts about this creature. As for whether they take it seriously or not, it depends on them whether they want to arrest this guy or let him live a normal life. It's my own. Xiaozi creature has no hatred towards Jia Yan in essence, but the other party may be quite strong. For a strong person, any force will pay a certain amount of attention. Of course, it is unknown whether this attention will turn into malice or even murderous intent when the other party discovers that it has an advantage. Anyway, he reported the matter. He couldn't control how the big shots behind him responded to the matter, whether they let Jia Yan go or continued to target him. In this way, when Jia Yan soared for more than 1,000 kilometers in the gradually opening terrain, and when a city scene appeared in front of him, he found two powerful creatures in the sky, looking at him silently. "Are you here for me?" His expression changed slightly, and then he walked around calmly. Even if he didn't enter the city, he wouldn't cause any trouble. However, the two powerful creatures changed their directions together after Jia Yan changed his direction, as if they wanted to stop Jia Yan. Huh? They are so entangled, but their posture doesn't seem like they want to take action, so what if we just have a conversation with them? Jia Yan calmly stopped and faced the two flying creatures. These two creatures are both about 3 or 4 meters in size. Because there is no way to directly judge the strength of the other party on this northern giant star, so Jia Yan doesn't know how strong they are. But from the feeling that they were flying directly towards Jia Yan, it was clear that they were definitely not too simple. It is estimated that it is like the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. It is impossible for the territory lord. There seem to be few territory lords among the forces of this great god's house. It is impossible for them to have the time and energy to take care of such an insignificant person like me. Strength doesn't necessarily mean you are strong. Jia Yan quickly organized his thoughts and tried his best not to exude hostility while waiting. The House of Great God is not a small force. They also have cities and many strongholds. It is impossible for such a force to attack people without reason, otherwise they would not be able to achieve such a scale. Sure enough, after seeing Jia Yan stop flying, the two approaching masters also flew slower, and their attitude was very kind, and they slowly approached Jia Yan. "Your Excellencies, I wonder if I have violated a taboo here. Isn't flying allowed here?" Jia Yan spoke before the other party. "No, you have not violated any taboos. Flying is not allowed in the city, but haven't you not arrived in our city?" One of the opponents was not a flying creature, but a strong man who flew in the sky with the power of brain waves. He looked like a canine creature and said directly to Jia Yan. "Very good, the content of the first step of the chat has established the friendly tone of both parties. Of course, whether it is really friendly or not depends on how the conversation goes. Then I don't know what you two want to stop me from doing. Can you tell me?" Jia Yan was always so straightforward in his conduct and work. If there was any hostility, it would have been better to have known about it earlier to avoid having to argue with him. "Haha, Your Excellency Jia Yan, you are really quick to talk. We don't want to intercept you, but you are a suspected galaxy-level powerhouse. After all, you are still a bit threatening to us. We just want to ask Your Excellency, this okay, what are you going to do? Do I need to reveal to the people of your great god's house what I do? You too, your great god's house has too many things to take care of, right?" Jia Yan's face looked ugly. He felt uncomfortable after just a few words. If the other party wanted to ask even this, wouldn't he have to reveal all the 18 generations of his ancestors, otherwise they would not let him walk. This is simply taboo for the strong. Originally, many pursuits of strong people are unscrupulous, doing what they want to do and not doing what they don't want to do. If there are so many restrictions, it will be extremely uncomfortable for Jia Yan, so no matter whether he is still in good faith now, Jia Yan still responded stiffly. "No, you have misunderstood. We just became a little concerned about your safety and whereabouts after we knew that you were an outsider. You know, many of the strong men in our great god's house are strong men from outside. Originally, everyone was as informal as you, thinking that one person could make a name for himself in Biostar, or even be promoted to a more powerful person. However, in Biostar, after many experiences and many casualties, only then did we understand that Biostar is not a place that one person can conquer alone. Without the support of a force, it is difficult for you to practice stably. Even if you practice stably, you cannot get too many resources. It is not as good as outside. There are many those who came to Biostar and spent a lot of money to escape just left because they couldn't survive. If you are an outsider, you must have already understood this. There are so many people outside who come here and leave again. They are living examples. The dog-like creature quickly explained to Jia Yan, as if he was afraid that Jia Yan would misunderstand. But Jia Yan was dubious, but he still understood a little bit of what he said. He is not an ignorant person, and he has realized similar things before. Otherwise, why would he join the Zerg Queen's force when he first came to the central star field of the Milky Way? It's because he also understands that in an extremely prosperous area with many strong people, it's best to stick together. Otherwise, if you go alone, you may lose more than you gain, because you will only be at the bottom. No matter how prosperous the place is, it will not be with you. Nothing to do. But Jia Yan didn't believe what the other party said. God knows what they wanted to say. Indeed, before I came to Biostar, I visited a few friends. It can be seen that their views on coming to Biostar were not very positive, and some even advised me not to come. Jia Yan nodded, thinking of the two mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy surrounding the electromagnetic pulse rays of the pulsar. Those two guys, even if they got around in the North Star, they didn't seem to gain much after going out. They even got to the point of picking up rags in the pulsar. One of them has a psychological problem. It can be seen that they came to this North Star. Superstars are not all good things. Your Excellency Jia Yan, since you know this, you should also understand that Biostar is not that simple. The former Zhejiang Sir has already told you about his invitation to join the power of my great God's house. The two of us are here. This is just to invite you again. If you are interested, the conditions are easy to negotiate. Of course, the premise of all this is that your strength is not weaker than your Excellency Zhejiang. The other party finally stated their request, and it turned out that they were inviting Jia Yan to join them again. They were naturally very interested in a galaxy-level creature that was suspected to be a little stronger than the galaxy-level creature, so at the moment, it was not they who were pestering Jia Yan. Jia Yan shook his head. I told Mr. Xiangzhang before that I don't want to join, but I want to take a look at BOG first. You too, when you first came to BOG, would you be anxious to join a force from the beginning? Presumably there are not many such strong people. We strong people originally came to Biostar to look for opportunities. I am also the same. If you don't let me see the possibility of opportunity and see more places in Biostar, it's unrealistic for me to join a force, right? I can only guarantee that if I want to join a certain force in the future, then the Great God's house will be my first choice. After hearing Jia Yan's answer, although I didn't hear him say any harsh words, such remarks already represented Jia Yan's firm attitude. As for what he said, he would consider the Great God's house in the future. Understand, it's just an excuse. Well, Your Excellency Jia Yan, I know what you are thinking, but you must have chosen to descend around this Ludi forest because of the peace here, right? But we can tell you that the area is the private domain of a big family. We, the forces, all exist under the name of this big family, so there is such peace. The real northern superstar may be more dangerous than you think. So, you can do it for yourself. I hope that after seeing the surroundings clearly, you will remember that there is another force here waiting for your return, and sincerely waiting for you to join. Well, in this case, we will no longer force anything, Your Excellency, you can enter the city of my great God's house, and no strong person will disturb you. Of course, you need to abide by the rules of our great God's house, otherwise, the law will not be forgiving, do you understand? Thank you for your teachings, sir. Well, I will go to this noble city and have a look around. I will definitely abide by the law. Jia Yan quickly expressed his gratitude to the canine creature. The two creatures, including the flying creature that had been silent all this time, nodded, then never looked back and flew to the center of the city in an instant. They could fly, but Jia Yan couldn't. He remembered that people had said before that the city was prohibited from flying. Of course, as city managers, they were probably very powerful protectors, so flying was allowed. Jia Yan couldn't fly, otherwise he would violate the city's laws, so he landed on the ground, and then, under the curious attention of each creature, he walked into the city calmly. Just now, their three living creatures were having a conversation several hundred meters in the air, but many creatures saw it. And the status of those two living creatures is completely clear to many strong people in the city. The strong person who can make the two great creatures come forward to meet and talk to him in person must not be a weak person. Even if he is weak, he must be an existence with a high status. Therefore, all the existences who saw Jia Yan, they were all fond of him. Of course, it's not that exaggerated. The two strong men in the city exist. If they pay attention to and worry about the creatures they meet every day, they probably don't have to do anything. They just need to pay a little attention to such creatures. Jia Yan didn't come to the city to buy smart brains, but it was obvious that he wanted to make some money here before leaving. After all, he had already been a little worried about the great god's house, and besides, the city looks like a city, but its size is not big, and it is impossible to buy the top-notch intelligence brains for galaxy-level beings. Arriving at a luxurious hotel, Jia Yan asked for the best room directly. The price of this room is not cheap. Jia Yan invested all the remaining money from hunting into it, and he can only stay for half a day. You must know that this is 3 or 4 times the price of the brain. But since you are showing off, you have to have a complete set, right? If Jia Yan's appearance this time is not even willing to spend such a small amount of money, then it is really meaningless. With the caution of the waiter, he reached the upper floors of the hotel. Looking at the panoramic view of the mountains and the architectural style of more than 300 floors, Jia Yan directly gave a complete description of this small city with a population of 30 to 40 million. Saw the itch? It's okay. If we put it on the Earth, a city with such a population would be considered a big city in the world. Even if it were placed in the starry sky, there wouldn't be too many cities of this size. After all, the strong people in the star are huge. Once the population increases, if you have tens of millions, there will be many strong people in Chiyuan. They occupy a large area and do not like to live with the weak. Therefore, in ordinary cities, the number is less than 10 million or several million. The North Star is different from the outside world. Many creatures can become intelligent races. Then 1 or 2 of these races can live in the city. Some creatures as small as ants can also live in the city. This is also counted as a population, so the population data has been boosted like this. There are many murder cases where a big-headed creature accidentally tramples to death a small, ant-like creature with low strength. As a result, you lose money and may go to jail. This is also a strange thing. Okay, let me start publicizing it. Jia Yan calmly took out his smart brain, and then he clicked on the public program carried on the smart brain. A ray of light soon appeared in front of him, and Jia Yan could feel that this brilliance was not a virtual picture, but some kind of unique network created by the network provider over this area, like a subspace or just like gravitational waves in space. They can directly connect energy to a certain place. This place is not too far away, because North Star does not provide the possibility of ultra-large-scale long-distance energy transmission. There is a high probability that it is the regional headquarters of this network provider. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2210. For example, in this city, the Guanghua Unicom channel that Jia Yan clicks on now will be connected to the service point in the city. Please release a little bit of your energy into this brilliance. Thank you for your cooperation. In the virtual screen, give Jia Yan a hint. Jia Yan did as he was told and projected a bit of his brainwave power into this ball of light. However, he did not use his full strength, but used the energy that was about the mid-level strength of the galaxy. Moreover, the power itself does not add any yin-yang dao characteristics, so as not to be analyzed by others, which would be troublesome. Buzz. The brilliance swallowed up the power, and Jia Yan could feel that it instantly connected to a certain place in the city, and then the brilliance disappeared. At the same time, in the small city that is the home of the great god, in a busy public program service outlet with hundreds of employees, a data observation creature screamed. There is a middle-level powerhouse in the galaxy who has chosen to make it public. Ah! A mid-level powerhouse from the galaxy? Which adult in our city is he? It shouldn't be. Don't these adults look down on our program? Why did we choose to make it public? How is it impossible? Haha, we should be happy that a mid-level galaxy powerhouse chose us. Our work in this city has been unable to be carried out. There is a mid-level galaxy being made public, which means that our work has been affirmed by others. Look who it is. Jia Yan? What the hell is Jia Yan? In this working place, every living thing is looking at each other. They are the staff responsible for this public process in the city. As the gatekeepers of public strength and the data keeper of public strength, they have always been criticized by the outside world. Especially in ordinary cities, the strong people are very fixed, and they are unlikely to value such a small amount of money. Therefore, it is difficult to carry out the work, and they may even be hostile to these strong people. If it were not for the creation of this program, the group is very powerful, maybe they have been kicked out a long time ago. But in this city, their work progress is still very difficult anyway. Not to mention the strongest mid-level galaxy powerhouses in the entire city, even the ordinary first-level galaxy powerhouses are like hugs. The group is unwilling to support their work, and no one at the galaxy level is willing to disclose their strength. In this way, the star level, semi-star level, etc. below will follow the same example. After all, the galaxy level powerhouses still have to give face. As for the staff of their program, no matter how strong your group's headquarters is, it's still far away. In this city, you don't have much strength at all. The staff who have been working on such a difficult public process have long been worried that their headquarters in this city will be abolished, and then they will all lose their jobs. Unexpectedly, when the progress was so difficult, there would be a middle-level being from the galaxy who chose their program. And it's not an ordinary galaxy level, it's an intermediate galaxy level. If it's a local powerhouse, then it's almost one of the top beings in the city. How can this not surprise the staff of this program? But after seeing the name of the test data and the finalization of the energy, everyone present looked at each other in shock. What the hell is Jia Yan? Is there such a strong man in their city? It seems not. And the feeling of this power does not seem to be like the energy of the strong people on the northern superstar. It is not even the power that the strong people in the central star field of the Milky Way should have. You can also feel that this power has an incomplete feeling. It feels like the person involved has forcibly cut off part of his power, but still has the strength of the middle level of the galaxy. Who is he? Every worker is thinking about this. Because no one knew that the first galaxy level person with public strength was actually a strong man that they had never heard of. Could it be that he is a well-known strong man in some city, but his strength has not been captured in their database? It shouldn't be. They have a certain understanding of every strong person in the city, the home of the great god, and have a guessing model for how their strength and energy are structured. After all, they have made the program public. This is their job. They can almost guess the energy and strength of strong people, so they should not be wrong in guessing. Then there is only one possibility. Is this powerful man a powerful man from outside? It should be so, but why did you choose to make it public in our city? The database does not show that this powerful man has made it public in other places in the outside world. If he went to a big city for the first time, he must be worried about this sudden. There may even be more than just mid-level galactic powerhouses appearing, and many people will choose to pay to watch his strength, but if he goes to a small city like ours, his income will probably be much less. Haha, maybe someone is just interested in seeing our program and just gives it a try. Besides, even if he makes it public for the first time here, going to a big city in the future will not affect his income. After all, he will go there in the future. In a big city, the database matches. Although this is the second time he has disclosed his identity, ordinary strong people cannot directly read the data disclosed for the first time, so they still have to pay to see it again. That's right. No matter what the reason is, if he chooses to believe us, then we will do things beautifully. The staff here were very fast in giving feedback. They didn't wait long, and every one of them quickly took care of Jia Yan's energy, etc., dealt with each task one by one, and then returned the data again. Buzz. When Jia Yan was waiting in the hotel for about half an hour, he heard a burst of music prompts coming from Jinao. After a while, he didn't even have time to read the content of the Jinao prompts, and there were many prompts coming at once. Jia Yan picked up the Jinao and looked at a large number of prompts on it. The public process has passed and your strength has been verified. You will be publicly announced as a mid-level powerhouse in the galaxy. OB users chose to pay to watch your strength. Creed users have chosen to pay to watch your power. No one is as good as me, the user who chose to pay to watch your strength. He discovered that his information had been passed through the public process, and he had been granted permission to pay to view his own strength in one fell swoop. And from the beginning, many users chose to pay to watch their own strength. Oh, is this enough? As expected, my strength is rated as intermediate galaxy by them. Although galaxy is intermediate, so many people choose to view my data for the first time. Haha, as expected, galaxy the level is the galaxy level, even if it is the middle level of the galaxy, even if it is in the North Star where there are many strong people, the galaxy level will still not be the flowers and grass on the roadside. This is in line with my definition of a strong person. Jia Yan smiled slightly. When he came to North Superstar, it was difficult to define his position in North Superstar, because everyone knew that North Superstar was so powerful that there were so many galaxy-level beings here. As he could see, there were indeed many galaxies, and for a while Jia Yan didn't know what to do with himself. Fortunately, he gradually discovered that the galaxy class, even the basic galaxy class, was not a weakling in the cities and towns of the North Star. Understanding this will also be beneficial to Jia Yan's self-confidence. Of course, the bigger benefit is Jia Yan's current increase in income. Every time you watch it, it's money. You know, just as he thought, galaxy-level existences, especially galaxy-level existences, are not weak to the local strong people, and they are even strong enough to influence the direction of a city. So as soon as Jia Yan disclosed his data, many powerful people immediately chose to view Jia Yan's data. His income also began to increase immediately. For every 10 additional viewers, money will be given to the bank card that Jia Yan previously applied for in the town. This bank card is a bank card jointly issued by many forces within tens of millions of kilometers nearby. As long as he is willing, he can use it anytime, anywhere. Go get it? Because I use the strength released by the middle-level power of galaxy. In terms of strength, the cost of one viewing is lower than the existence of the domain lord and the powerhouse of the middle-level peak strength of galaxy. This cost is not a trivial matter. The average family of ordinary creatures, I don't look down on it at all, because no one would spend half a year or even a year's salary to look at the statistics of a strong person, so those who look at me are usually those who are relatively powerful or wealthy. Jia Yan found that it didn't take long for him to collect enough viewing requirements, and the first money was sent to his account. In fact, this is because Jia Yan did not disclose more of his data, but only disclosed his strength and address. This is like a strong man releasing his brainwave power to the outside world to let others know there is a strong man at this address, please don't come to provoke him. The only difference is that he brought his name, so that others know his name, but nothing else is known. This is also the reason why Jia Yan opened a very expensive hotel. This can be regarded as having an identity. Otherwise, if others see his data and then look at his public address, they will find that he lives in a small and shabby hotel. What would you think? Fake strong man? Or is this strong man so poor? Of course, in this situation, some people will definitely think that Jia Yan is so poor that he has betrayed his reputation as a strong man. They were right. Jia Yan was indeed poor, otherwise he would not have betrayed his information. If I want to make more money, plus my own moves, things I'm good at, and past combat information, etc., I will get more money. Those who want to see detailed information, buy more. If you have my information, you will pay me more money, but ordinary strong people will not do this kind of thing. They are asking for trouble, and even give the enemy an opportunity to understand your own strength. And after fighting methods, it is very likely that intelligence will be leaked and flaws will be given. It is impossible for Jia Yan to do more than disclose his name and address. In other words, it is already very risky for him to disclose his address now. Of course, before he came to the city, two powerful people already knew that he was coming. If he stayed in this hotel, they must also know about it. Then he would make a small amount of money publicly and let more people know about his arrival. Once it arrives, it's nothing. In fact, the degree of making money from publicizing the program is a bit more profitable than Jia Yan imagined, because after Jia Yan chose the scope of the publicity and adjusted it to several small cities around him that he would not go to in the future, he suddenly made more money. Many powerful people or large enterprises chose to pay to watch his strength and address, which was equivalent to another wave of money being plundered by Jia Yan. Haha, isn't this program for disclosing strength a good thing for strong people to make pocket money? I can also close the disclosure anytime and anywhere. Even if an enemy comes looking for me, if I close it and run away, they won't be able to find me. Where have you gone? Jia Yan quickly understood the usefulness of this program, and felt heartbroken by the powerful men and plutocrats who read his information. They paid because a strange strong man came. For safety reasons, they could only pay attention to the strong man's address at all times, otherwise they were afraid of changes. This is something that the strong locals and forces have no choice but to find. See Suyuan. It may also be the reason why many forces and strong people who don't like to move are very resistant to this open procedure, because there will definitely be many people from other places. If a strong person goes to other people's cities to play like this, it doesn't cost much, just get some pocket money and leave. It's not enough if they don't watch. Because he made many nearby cities public in one go, Jia Yan quickly earned a lot of money, much more than when he hunted prey. More than 100 people have watched it, so be it. When it reaches 200, I will stop. Jia Yan thought about it, and it was almost the same. After all, as a foreign strongman, with the strength of the galaxy intermediate, many forces and strongmen must be just in case. Take a look at it's just intelligence. Knowing that he has been motionless in the hotel, he will probably give up the observation, because if he wants to see Jia Yan's intelligence the next day, he will have to spend money again. No one is a fool and keeps spending this money. Just when Jia Yan was finally satisfied that he had earned enough money that night and was about to go to the following small cities to do this again, he found that there was another Galaxy Prime on the list of recommendations for the public program. Public information of powerful people. Huh? Why is there an extragalactic junior powerhouse coming to the public? Let me take a look. Jia Yan is very curious, not to mention he also wants to see how others make it public, so that he can better understand whether he has made a mistake. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2211. So he paid the first payment to see the shared information about this powerful man. As a result, after entering, I found that this was a local first-level powerhouse from the galaxy. This powerhouse also left a message saying that he felt that this program was very useful, so he gave it a try because everyone knew him. Moreover, this powerful man is probably too famous and does not care to share more details about himself. Because he was not at the mid-level of galaxy, the fee was not as high as Jia Yan's. After Jia Yan looked at his basic information and address, he saw that he continued to share the information of the next level, which gave him more data, such as the combat areas that you are good at, combat moves, etc. Out of curiosity, Jia Yan paid again and clicked to watch. He is a strong man who mainly focuses on strength. He is very popular in this North Star. Jia Yan looked at the other party's detailed information and immediately felt some agreement. At the same time, he was also very surprised. Why would there be such a being who made his strength and other aspects public? He was simply digging his own grave. This was not right. In short, it gave outsiders many opportunities to understand him. After all, he made it public. It is impossible to fake this information, otherwise the group that discloses the procedures will be punished. Moreover, if he wants to disclose this, he must go to the branch of the disclosure procedures to take a test, otherwise they will not disclose it to you. So Jia Yan was surprised. But what he didn't know was that this local junior powerhouse from the galaxy understood something from Jia Yan's disclosed strength, and became the first to try it. The result did not disappoint him. Although he was only a junior star of the galaxy, and he was well known to the locals, and many people had even seen him fight. However, as soon as it was made public, there were many people read his information, and a few people even paid more money to read his detailed information. This strong man made a small profit. Not only did he get back the money he had just spent to see the mysterious galaxy intermediate strong man, that is, Jia Yan, he also made a lot more. Jia Yan had just exited this strong man's information, but he didn't expect that there would be a lot of information about junior galaxy strongmen and even a mid-level galaxy strongman. He was stunned for a moment. I won't watch it. After all, I don't live in this city. I will leave tomorrow. It depends on your size. Jia Yan resisted his itching to avoid wasting money. After a night of doing this, Jia Yan finally understood that this public procedure was based on some kind of petty gain mentality. In fact, for the strong, this income cannot be said to be much, but it is definitely not too little, especially in a public process that is determined by strength. The stronger you are, the more people will spend money to see you, once or twice. It may not be a big deal, but if it accumulates 10 times or 100 times, it will be quite impressive. Jia Yan made a lot of money in this way, and even promoted the public program to a small extent. Everyone came to test the waters, especially the previous galaxy level ones. They were the leaders in the city, and their strength combat moves, etc. are completely public things, so it doesn't matter if they are released for people to see. Haha, although I'm not sure whether the money for such a wave is enough, there are so many cities along the way, and there is a radiation range that can be extended to more cities. After a round, it's almost enough, right? Jia Yan completely regarded this method as his own temporary way of making money. But he also thought that something would definitely go wrong if he continued like this. After all, you are just a passerby. When you go to these cities, others pay money to see your information, but you leave quickly. This is an unhappy thing for anyone. Of course, the money is relatively small, so there should be no major problems. Even if he is a majestic galaxy-level being, what others see is not his full-power intermediate galaxy peak, but the intermediate galaxy can be regarded as a reputable existence. Everyone is watching. When he made a small amount of money like this all the way, he must have understood that he simply lacks such a small amount of money. When he was angry, he probably felt sympathy. Such a poor galaxy mid-level person was probably rare in the local area. Maybe there will be some more real strong people who have been tracing back to their origins. From the town of the great god's home, they found that I was a foreign strong person. I guess they had other thoughts. But at that time, I must have had feelings for this northern superstar. I almost understand it now, it's not that easy to get rid of me. While Jia Yan was using intelligent brain to create the benefits of purchasing new intelligent brain, he also did not forget to use intelligent brain to see how ordinary strong people make money. And how to find a job and stuff like that. Even if they could monitor the shrimp creature, they probably wouldn't have any special ideas about this kind of thing. In other words, it would be strange not to search for these things after he got a brain. After all, he just came to be a star, so he always I want to see how I can survive here. Puff. It was not until the 4th day of his stay in this small town that Jia Yan closed his Gnow search page after almost no income came in quickly. Then, he pondered for a while, and after paying the hotel room fee, he soared into the sky. He left the city quickly. And just as Jia Yan left, in this city, the two powerful men who had been in contact with Jia Yan and guarded the city at the galaxy level looked at the sky at the same time. Let's go. Is this guy so poor? Haha, you are so poor that you are unwilling to join my master's family. This person named Jia Yan is quite tough. But don't underestimate him. His behavior is easy to understand. If I had just arrived on a new planet and didn't understand anything about it, I would be so cautious. Pay close attention to his actions. Maybe it won't be long before he will become our partner. These two powerful men are still thinking about whether Jia Yan will become their partner. Of course, Jia Yan doesn't know whether Jia Yan will become a partner of these two powerful men. Generally speaking, Jia Yan has watched the Great God's house for a few days and also searched for the Great God's house. It doesn't feel that bad. But if you really want to join, Jia Yan must learn more about this world. Above the sky, Jia Yan, who accelerated his speed to 1,000 kilometers upwards, became very unscrupulous. It's not that he is really unscrupulous, but that he can now show the speed of a mid-level powerhouse in the galaxy. After all, he has opened the process of disclosing his strength. Now, although it is closed after leaving the city, his body, his appearance and fame must have already opened up. If he pretends to be a weakling again, people might look down on him. If you are a galaxy-level powerhouse, then you must use the speed of a galaxy-level powerhouse. Moreover, Jia Yan has not yet accelerated to a faster speed. As a galaxy level, he can fly faster, not to mention that he is also a flying creature. Next, I'm going to the nearest small city circle. When I go there, I will open up my information and let more people spend money. Oh no, with a little money, I will get to know this strange galaxy class. Hee hee. Jia Yan ran to the next city circle, adhering to the idea that he was a galaxy class who wanted to make friends. This is a more prosperous city than the previous Ludi Forest, and there are several small towns around it. Although there are no brains that only strong people can buy, the total number of cities in this circle it has a population of more than 100 million. You can tell at a glance that it is a good urban circle with countless strong people in it. Oh, has any strong person disclosed his strength? Let's take a look. This strong person probably didn't want to be disturbed, so he made his strength public. Maybe he wants to prevent others from troubling him. In that case, we will pay to have a look and avoid causing trouble after watching. What a strong man, a middle-level strong man in the galaxy, Tisk tisk, and he is a stranger, so don't bother him. Haha, our city's intelligence system will probably have trouble sleeping. A new middle-level galactic powerhouse has arrived, and they are not allowed to investigate and kill him. The viewing fee for a mid-level galaxy powerhouse is too expensive. Oh my god, half a month's salary is gone after just one look. Jia Yan? I haven't heard of him. He is probably new from somewhere. I hope it won't cause any trouble. In this urban agglomeration, many creatures with a little wealth, as well as powerful people, spent money to view the information about Jia Yan, who had just opened up his strength to others. It's just that Jia Yan didn't reveal much about himself, just his strength, positioning, etc. That's all, and countless people paid for it. Using the same routine, Jia Yan still opened a room in a hotel. After he disclosed his strength, the owner of the hotel, who was also a star-level being, came to the door in person and gave Jia Yan a 20% discount. Making Jia Yan embarrassed. Like this, only 5 days passed before he took off again. This time the city group made much more money than the previous city that was the home of the great god. It must be enough money for me to pay for the brains of strong men. And I also discovered that strong men no longer need to play this public game. Programs are ways to make more money, although many of them are a bit risky, but they are better than making money like a beggar. Jia Yan flew in the sky because he learned that these cities have regulations for galaxy-level powerhouses, that is, galaxy-level powerhouses, no matter where they come from, can fly over these cities for free and unconditionally. So he did it. But this flight had another accident. Those were 4 creatures that seemed difficult to deal with, flying in the air and intercepting Jia Yan. Jia Yan stopped flying silently, sighing deep in his heart. After all, he is too conspicuous in these cities, and it is impossible not to attract the attention of other powerful people. Sir, how about a chat? Your Excellency Jia Yan, we have been waiting for you to come out for a long time. The 2 strong men spoke first. Jia Yan did not want to force a breakthrough or anything. After all, he also knew that he would not necessarily fight with these strong men. The opponent is responsible for the safety of the entire city. Since he is meeting him above the city, he does not want to fight. Otherwise, he cannot say whether he will defeat Jia Yan in a fight, but a lot of the city below will have to be destroyed. Above the North Star, the strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy are also more terrifying. Jia Yan cannot say that he can beat many strong men in a fight, but if he causes a certain amount of damage to the city, then their economy will have problems and collapse. A few houses and the death of a group of people may not be able to make money back from Jia Yan. If the other party had investigated Jia Yan's identity, they would be clear about this. The 5 powerful men flew down together. Not long after, in a small shop in a bustling area of the city, Jia Yan and the 4 powerful men opened a private room that looked like a single room and sat down in it. It's quite prosperous. Can this city only be considered a small city? Jia Yan sighed. Your Excellency Jia Yan, you are an outsider. Of course you don't know what the real big cities in the North Star look like. Even within our several thousand kilometers, the few big cities that are listed in the entire North Star are super. In front of the big city, everyone is just a child. The strong man who had spoken to Jia Yan before smiled and said this to Jia Yan. Do you know that I am an outsider? Jia Yan was not surprised and asked directly. Yes, we know that you are an outsider, and we have no intention of dealing with you. One thing may be different from what you think. There are many factions within our Northern Star, and they are friendly and unfriendly to outsiders. In other places, such as ours, the vast land around Ludi Forest is relatively friendly to outsiders, otherwise there would not be the existence of the power of the great god's house, let alone their development. After a few strong men were seated, the waiter served menus and the like. This is the first time for Jia Yan to eat food in these cities, even in those hotels, because he needs to practice and observe the outside world, regardless of eating casually, so it is not an exaggeration to say that it is the first time. It's delicious. I didn't expect the food on your North Star to be so delicious. Jia Yan ate an expensive food, and his eyes lit up. Your Excellency Jia Yan, haha, this is not food that ordinary people can afford. It is the meat of some kind of venerable animal. Because it has no intelligence, it is classified as an edible cultured creature, but it is extremely expensive. Jia Yan was silent for a moment, then nodded. I see. Is this what the strong men on the North Star enjoy? This is the first time I've heard of it. Although Jia Yan searched a lot of information on the internet, many things still need to be truly experienced before he can understand them. It's just that no matter how delicious the food is, it can't withstand the vigilance of a strong man. Jia Yan only tasted it briefly. After eating a little, he stopped eating. So far, he hasn't eaten much, and even if there is any poison, he can handle it quickly. Okay, everyone, you can tell me now, what are your thoughts on intercepting me? Is it illegal for me to collect some money from several big cities through public procedures? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2212. He knew that these powerful people would definitely not be weak, and they might not even be in the middle level of the galaxy. They might be the peak of the middle level in the galaxy. This is also the reason why Jia Yan does not want to break through. Without the talent of subspace, it is one thing whether he can beat him or not. The other thing is that he does not have the attitude of starting a war, so he wants to see what the opponent wants to do. It's not that you are illegal. This kind of public procedure is something that several major forces and families have decided can be implemented. Besides, who will take notice of making such a small amount of money? Several strong men laughed. In their eyes, Jia Yan is pitiful. For such a small amount of money, he actually disclosed his strength and position. If this place was not the peaceful North Star realm, just if he disclosed his strength and location, there would probably be a large number of strong men came to trouble him. This is also the reason why open procedures can only be developed in peaceful areas. Putting them in other places, it is impossible to successfully implement them. Haha, I have no other choice. You know, I am an empty-handed outsider. Since I don't dare to break the law and don't want to break the law, I can only use this method similar to begging to ask for money. Jia Yan shook his head bitterly. Why doesn't he know that in the eyes of other strong men, he is just a beggar? But for him, he had never been exposed to such a thing as a public procedure before, so there was no shame in it. Besides, as he said, if you don't want to make money quickly in this way, do you still want him to do something that violates the laws of this area? It's almost like courting death. Your Excellency Jia Yan, you are wrong to say that. As a strong person, making money by exposing your identity on a small program is really too cheap. Maybe you don't know what it means to do such a thing on Biostar. But if you want to use the starry sky in the outside world as a metaphor, you are now on a planet, squatting next to the caravan of weak people begging for food for one level, do you understand? The person who talked to Jia Yan the most continued to say the above words, but the meaning behind the words made Jia Yan a little unhappy. Although he roughly knew what the meaning of this matter was, he thought that he was a strong outsider. If he did such a thing, he would only regret it in the future. Now you are deliberately saying that I am a beggar. Isn't this a change of curse? Haha, guys, I told you that I'm just here for the first time, and I have no choice but to do this. If you think I've done anything wrong, you can accuse me, but please don't insult a strong man, okay? Just what you just said, these words will be understood by the outside world, and I can choose to invite you to a battle. Jia Yan looked at this strong man indifferently and felt that his words were unreliable. The reason why he didn't rush to ask these strong men what they were doing with him was because he wanted to chat with these strong men and learn more about what was going on in the North Star, but now this strong man actually insulted him a little bit. Meaning, then Jia Yan won't give too much face. As a Zing class, if you don't even dare to respond to other people's insults and sarcasm, you will probably be looked down upon in the future. In this North Star, although Jia Yan doesn't know how low the status of the galaxy class is, he must be like this. Anyone can resist anything that insults someone. The four powerful men looked at each other and felt that Jia Yan was quite heroic as an outsider. Faced with the interception of the four powerful men, he still had the courage to say something like an invitation to fight in front of them. Could this be the character of the strong outsiders? They are local strong men, but each of them has been to the outside world. Compared with the outside world entering Biostar, the strong men here can still easily go out as long as they are protected by other strong men and use some items. But even if it's one thing that they can't adapt to the outside world after they go out. The other thing is that the outside world is too big. Compared with the North Star, which has a larger population and a larger area, the outside world is directly the starry sky, and they can't fly much even if they fly for a long time. In a large place, you can't see many creatures, and there are also incredibly huge but weak creatures everywhere, so they will soon choose to return to the North Superstar. This has caused Biostar and the outside world to treat strong people, especially when we are strong and the enemy is weak. They have little respect for other strong people. Guys, since we have talked so much, why don't you tell me your reasons for coming? It seems that we don't have much consensus, so why not open the sky and speak openly? I have made a decision early, so that I can continue my journey. Jia Yan smiled and became crisp and clear without waiting for the strong men to say anything else. He is a straightforward person. They were having a good conversation just now, but they were about to reveal everything all of a sudden. The four powerful men felt strange in their hearts. They looked at each other again and started laughing. It's not that they are afraid of Jia Yan or anything, but they really want something from Jia Yan. Your Excellency Jia Yan, we don't want to block your way or anything, but you also know that a strong man is haunting our cities and is still making money in that way. As the guardians of the city, you are also a strong person, so you should feel that you want to help you, otherwise we strong people will feel sorry for you. Another strong man who spoke less aggressively said what he wanted to say. However, these words turned out to mean that they wanted to help Jia Yan, but they were full of nonsense, and the black words were made white. Jia Yan just listened silently and showed no reaction. Seeing that Jia Yan didn't answer, the other party continued talking. It's like this. The alliance in our city belongs to several forces. But these forces are called forces, but in name they are all branches of the Master's force. Including the great God's house that you first knew, they said it is an alliance of outsiders, but in name it is a force that obeys the orders of the Master. After hearing his words, Jia Yan nodded calmly, so. In fact, he already knew through internet searches that the so-called Master Force, which is one of the three major forces in Ludi Forest, is actually the owner of the surrounding land and the co-owner of all forces. If he does not obey his orders, no matter who the power will be wiped out quickly. Even its sphere of influence is more than that. The peaceful area of several thousand kilometers is just a corner of the power of this master. They control a total of 3 or 4 similar areas. The tens of millions of square kilometers of the peaceful area, just the most peaceful realm under his control. Since looking at Jia Yan's face, it seems that he knows the scope of the territory of the master's power, then we will tell him directly. The seemingly more peaceful strong man saw that Jia Yan roughly knew the existence of the master's power, so he felt that he could spend less time talking and speak directly what he said next. Since you are short of money, we can recommend you to go to the front lines of the master's forces to fight for this force. Almost every strong person in these areas has experience of fighting on the front lines. This will make it more convenient. It is easy to earn military exploits and harvest a lot of trophies, and as long as you have military exploits on the front line, you will get a good status when you return to our peaceful area or go to other lands. For example, almost everyone like us has been to the front line. No need to say it. But when the other party continued to say the above words tirelessly, Jia Yan interrupted him with a sneer. After talking for a long time, he finally realized that these four guys had actually tricked him into fighting for some controlling force. And since they were so caring, they must have recommended Jia Yan to the battlefield. They would definitely gain something, which was a good calculation. Your Excellencies, when I came down with you, I was still thinking about becoming friends with you. Unexpectedly, these Excellencies did not regard me, Jia Yan, as a good friend. As an outsider, although I understand the laws here, but I don't seem to have seen any laws in this peaceful land that would force an outsider to go to the front line, right? In this case, please allow me to reject this matter, and there will be no need to say anything else in the future. Farewell. After Jia Yan coldly refused, he stood up. Your Excellency Jia Yan, you have misunderstood. This is also a good thing for you. Hello. Among the four powerful men, the one who talked the most at first and who was the least able to speak kept shouting a few words, but could not stop Jia Yan at all. He could only watch him leave this luxurious shopping mall-like place quickly. Then it soared into the sky. Jia Yan didn't even say hello to them and just left. This guy has a really tough temper. The four powerful men were not angry at all, and immediately returned to their seats and sat down. That's right, they stopped chasing after they knew it couldn't be done. After all, just as Jia Yan said, in this peaceful land, there is no law that forces other strong men to control the power of war. If there is such a law, it means that there is no peace here and there is abuse of power. If placed anywhere, it would greatly affect prosperity, and the place would not be able to develop into the current land of peace. Therefore, it is impossible for them to really force Jia Yan. The four powerful men coming out together will only put a certain amount of pressure on Jia Yan. I originally thought there was still a certain chance, but I didn't expect that this guy is very smart. Now, a possible galaxy-level powerhouse has left. One of us must go to the front line. Yes, the quota is here, there's nothing we can do about it. Who's going? I've been there last time. It's not a place for people to go. Anyway, I won't be here this time. Who hasn't been there? Let's go back and discuss it carefully. Jia Yan, on the other hand, wants to be a wandering strongman in our peaceful world. It's not that simple. It would be great if we, be a superstar, are so easy to get along with. Jia Yan did not hear the words of the four powerful men, but he could roughly guess what they would say and what they would think. As he flew all the way into the sky, he originally thought that the four powerful men would catch up and say something, or even threaten him, but unexpectedly, none of these four guys caught up. Aren't you coming? In this way, I have a general understanding of the legal principles of this peaceful area. It's better than I imagined. The strong ones don't act unscrupulously. But, the one who controls the power. Jia Yan's speed slowed down a little, but he still maintained it at about 2,000 kilometers per hour, because he now had more experience this time, and he roughly understood that he should not be threatened in this peaceful area. Life, if you show more strength, it won't have much impact. The flying speed of 2,000 kilometers is the speed of a normal mid-level flying creature in the galaxy. Jia Yan continued on his intended direction, but during the flight, he saw commercial spaceships flying in the sky all around him. Although most of them were not as fast as him, there were still many speeds. His current 2,000 kilometers are not comparable to that. Of course, there are not many such aircraft, but inside each one, there are what look like extremely powerful men riding on them. Some of them even looked at Jia Yan. But there is not much look on it. Are they all galaxy level? Unexpectedly powerful. Jia Yan knew very well that there should be no domain lord level here, but there might be one or two at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. This discovery made Jia Yan a little solemn. It has long been known that the North Star is as powerful as the clouds, but the closer to the big city, the more powerful people appear, which makes Jia Yan feel a little bit of pressure. Another area of greater pressure lies in the so-called Master's power. I originally thought that the Master's power is the nominal co-owner of this area of about 100 million kilometers, but today I was invited by these four powerful people. Only then did I realize that they may not only be as simple as they appear in name, but may also have extremely strong control. No wonder, otherwise, how can they be called the power of masters? There is an area over there in the Ludi forest. Looking for the book garden was used as a back garden by a princess who was rumored to be in charge of the power. Fortunately, I did not provoke this area at the beginning, otherwise I would probably eat it. I can't walk around in circles. Jia Yan sighed and continued forward. No matter how the situation changes, one thing remains unchanged. That is, Jia Yan is gradually understanding this big North Star bit by bit. As long as he becomes more and more integrated into this North Star, the danger will be much less. What he sighs most at the moment is that he has chosen a good place. In this peaceful area, he can almost say that he has won the first prize. If the outside world is as dangerous or chaotic as he found on the internet, then if he had chosen that kind of place, he would probably have been caught in a fight and life and death by now. Without much understanding, it would be extremely dangerous to rashly fall into the battle of the North Star. This is why most of the other strong men from the outside world, even if they are successfully promoted and go out again, will be wary of the North Star. Superstars feel frightened, and many of them are unwilling to come back for the rest of their lives, no matter how fast the promotion speed here is. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2213. What's even more exaggerated is that the North Star is really too big. This time you have chosen a place to jump in, but whether you can find it again next time is unknown. For example, in the Ludi forest area, Jia Yan originally I jumped after seeing this piece of green in space, but the northern giant has always had weird electromagnetic obstructions. It is impossible to use electronic instruments to locate it, so you have to rely on the naked eye to judge. But the northern giant is so big, there are places like Ludi forest, where there are not even 10 million, but 8 million. Are you sure you can jump there next time? So Jia Yan is lucky. I don't care about the invitation from the so-called matter controller force at the moment, or whether there are any battlefields in the outside world. My primary goal at the moment is to obtain a high-level intelligence brain, and now I can see that I can't master it yet. Instead of buying smart computers from outside shops or local shops, you have to buy them from outside shops, because even if they are still controlled by outside forces, they are still owned by outside forces. At least they are not controlled by local forces. For me, this is the best solution for the time being. Jia Yan summarized his affairs, found his bearings again, and started a long-distance flight. In the starry sky outside, Jia Yan can fly many light years in a month, let alone using the 10 degrees of subspace flight of the Aditya star. Even if he flies in the subspace himself. But placed on this northern star, he felt like he suddenly turned into an ant, extremely slow. It had been half a month since he came out of the Ludi forest, and he had just traveled to a few cities. Even if he was doing public money-making things on the way, but it also made him feel the uncomfortable feeling of a big car turning into a small car. But there is no way, let alone him. Even if there are domain lord level existences, in the North Star, affected by the unique electromagnetic and pressure, they cannot truly show the true strength of domain lord creatures, and many local domain lords the lord exists, and they regard this matter as normal. Only after occasionally going to the outside world, they will be amazed that they are such powerful creatures. Even the territory lord was suppressed, so Jiayan, a mid-level galaxy peak, could only adapt. The northern superstar was created by a super terrible strong man from prehistoric times, and the other giant stars were created by unknown strong men who were even more prehistoric. Why do every strong person have to create such a planet when they get to that point? How powerful have they become? This is something that many creatures on the North Star, including me, have discussed. Jia Yan was amazed and thinking about many things. At the same time, he gradually learned more about Beuxing and the funds he could use. He raised funds twice more, and without any exception, the strong men in the local city all came forward to greet him. Of course, not all of these strong men wanted Jia Yan to go to the front line, but there are all kinds of things, and there is even a small city. Seeing that Jia Yan almost deceived the residents of his city's money, and almost got into a fight with Jia Yan, it shows that he must be a very kind person. Fortunately, he later understood Jia Yan's strength and got the assurance that Jia Yan would leave his city soon, so he was a little relieved and stopped fighting Jia Yan again. Of course, Jia Yan is also very clear that one or two of these strong men will definitely not have too much trouble with him, because after traveling for such a period of time, he knows very well that this area is called a peaceful area. Not without the slightest reason. Only by obeying the law can the region become peaceful, including the strong. They must also abide by certain laws, otherwise they will be held accountable by the alliance forces from all over the country. In the most serious case, this strong man may even it is possible to be killed. In this way, the laws in the entire region are pretty good, and the so-called controlling force has also grabbed more than 60% of the tax revenue from this place. Therefore, although things here seem to be strictly controlled, but under normal circumstances, he allows the local forces and powerful people here to manage themselves. After all, he is not afraid of any resistance in this peaceful land, because he is definitely powerful enough as the controller, and he has no worries about this place at all. What kind of resistance will the strong man do? Thank you for your help. By the way, I will also tell you that I will not do these things again. Thank you for your support along the way. If you have a way to communicate, please tell the strong men in those cities for me. Thank you all. The huge mosquito soared into the sky at the edge of a small city, and then flew out of sight at an extremely fast speed. This guy actually wants to ask me to help him convey his voice, haha, but he is just asking for money in this way. Alas, it is good that he has not caused other damage. Otherwise, a strong man really wants to use when it comes to making money, there are probably more than 100 ways. He only uses legal means. Although he seems a bit rogue, it is definitely not our bottom line. It's okay, Jia Yan. In the city behind the giant mosquito, a mid-level strong man from the galaxy silently watched his leaving figure, then shook his head and gave a wry smile. He felt that it was better to forget it and not hold this guy responsible. Besides, it seemed that the other party really did not break the law. However, after the public procedure was used legally and profitably by this new outsider, its shortcomings were revealed. This strong man was thinking about whether to sue the real strong man in the big city. Forces, please ban or improve this process of disclosing your identity. Otherwise, if a strong man comes in the future and imitates the same tricks, wouldn't it mean that the local residents will be ripped off again? You know, Jia Yan finished harvesting the wool, but ran away without spending much money. It did not benefit their local economy at all, and it was completely meaningless to them. Jia Yanfei was in front, completely unaware that behind him, the strong man began to express his anger, or thought about the issue of public procedures. He doesn't care whether this public procedure will suffer disaster in the future because of his own problems. They must have been promoting this procedure, and similar things must have been considered. He just kept watching the bank account information displayed on his brain during the flight. I didn't expect that after collecting wool from 5 or 6 places like this, there would be so much money. It seems that this method is really good, but it cannot be used all the time. Now I not only buy high-grade smartphones. If you have money in mind, I guess you will have a certain amount of money to do whatever you want to do in the future. Jia Yan sighed softly, and then he took out the contents of a huge backpack behind him. This backpack is about the same size as him, 3 to 4 meters in size, and a square backpack. However, this is not a cloth backpack, but a pure metal item, and it is not an ordinary metal item. What kind of metal is it? Jia Yan couldn't say it, but he knew very well that this metal was extremely hard, and it would be extremely difficult for ordinary heaven-level experts to break through it without weapons. For the Galaxy class, of course it is nothing, but this does not prevent it from being used as a backpack. Jia Yan's 3 to 4 meter package was no longer empty at this time, but contained several good pieces of energy material. Click. When Jia Yan was flying, he took out one of the energy stones and created an air oscillation space filled with brainwave power, making it difficult for the outside world to see what was going on inside. He held the 2-meter energy stone and started to devour it. What was originally a stone-like substance became as soft as jelly when Jia Yan's extremely sharp mouthparts penetrated it. Once it was pierced into it, the energy in the energy stone became liquid directly. The rock is sucked into the mouth. At the first bite, he sighed. It's so delicious. This energy, this terrible boiling feeling, makes me feel intoxicated. He maintained a very emotional tone towards the power in his mouth. Because despite looking at such a small piece, for the size of his body in the starry sky, it can't even fill his mouth. But after entering the northern giant star, not only did it shrink in size, but the energy and matter here also became extremely terrifying. Such a piece is enough for him to practice for several days. This is also the reason why people from the outside world are afraid of Biostar and want to enter it. Just the fact that Jia Yan spent a certain amount of money to collect these 2 high-grade energy materials in the next few small cities would make him crazy in the past. But this energy substance is also strange. It is said that someone took some out before. After going out, these energy stones and other substances will immediately expand. Not to mention, the power will disappear quickly because there is no unique pressure from the North Star. It simply can only exist inside the northern giant star. Jia Yan was very sorry. He originally thought that if he had the chance, he would try to collect similar energy stones within Biostar. After collecting enough, he would find a way to go to the outside world and practice slowly. Unfortunately, his idea went bankrupt after he learned about the unique material limitations of these northern giant stars. Okay, next, my only goal is the only big city within hundreds of thousands of kilometers nearby. I can reach it in about 2 days. Jia Yan has actually been flying in this area for nearly a month. In addition to settling down in those cities and then using open procedures to solicit money, he spent a month flying. However, it still took him a month to fly. About 700,000 kilometers. This shows how big the North Giant is. Although my current speed is slowed down intentionally not to show my strength, even if I go all out, it will still take me several days to fly 700,000 kilometers. And this is only tens of millions of kilometers in the entire land of peace. Within, it is one of dozens of big cities. As for the controller's sphere of influence of 100 million kilometers, how long will it take for me to fly through it? The entire northern superstar is 1 light-year in diameter, which is 9.46 trillion kilometers, let alone the entire it's a northern giant star. If I want to fly 1% of its diameter, how long will it take me to fly? Only after arriving at the North Star can we truly understand how terrifying such a terrifying superstar is. The name of a superstar can only be understood to the extent of the horror when you really get inside. Here, countless races, countless strong men, and even domain master creatures, because of the pressure of the planet itself, may not be able to complete the northern superstar within their lifetime. After sighing for a long time, Jia Yan shook his head helplessly. He gave up and continued to think about it. It was useless to think about so many things. It was better to continue on his path to becoming a strong man. After he truly cultivated to the strength of the territory lord, he might unlock more secrets, or maybe he would beyond the strength of the territory lord. Perhaps there will be a reasonable answer to why North Superstar and the other three superstars exist, why there are so many differences, and all kinds of things. Gurgling gurgling. While Jia Yan was thinking, a few days passed. As he gradually sucked the energy stone he was holding into his body, he felt completely refreshed, because there were almost no energy stones in the North Star. How can one's body feel full of energy after a long drought? A magnificent big city appeared in front of Jia Yan. Well, when he saw the city pointed out on the map, Jia Yan was a little confused. Because he discovered that the city is big, really big. When spread out, it covers an area of thousands of kilometers, which is almost entirely within the scope of a city. Find the bookstore. Although there are various buildings, there are actually many high-rise buildings, and certain flying tools are flying in the sky. If not mentioned, it is really possible that Jia Yan has arrived at some external technological planet. Of course it is not as developed as the technological planet. It's so big, and the population is estimated to be quite large. Let me take a look. The data shows that the city named Peace Number 3 has a permanent population of more than 300 million. Oh my god. Except on the previous Earth, Jia Yan has not seen a city with such a large population for a long time, because on the planet, the races he encounters usually have strong people, so it is impossible for the strong to live with the weak. It is a powerful, more developed race, the smaller the population in the city. And like this so-called Peace City No 3, a city with 300 million people living in it, not counting the floating population, Jia Yan may be seen for the first time in my life. It is said that in terms of the real northern superstar, such a city is not actually ranked among the top. A super city that is well known throughout the northern superstar would have to cover a distance of hundreds of millions of kilometers. There are countless life forms living in it, and the data may not even be available. Statistics. Your Excellency, it is forbidden to fly alone in front of you. Please land, otherwise you will be treated as an intruder. Now I am warning you for the first time. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2214. When Jia Yan reached the sky above the city, a stream of light suddenly came to him at a speed that exceeded Jia Yan's current speed, and emitted an electronically synthesized sound effect at Jia Yan. This is to ask him to land. Even if Jia Yan looks like a galaxy level, it is useless. In Peace Number 3 city, no one can fly except for the existence of the Domain Lord, or creatures holding official documents and certain special licenses. Okay, I'll land right away. Jia Yan nodded hurriedly. He won't be stubborn about this kind of thing, and he doesn't dare to be stubborn, because even if he is a peak mid-level star in the galaxy, he is probably at the level of a little brother in this Peace Number 3 city. Because there must be a Domain Lord here. Even if he didn't need the Territory Lord, Jia Yan would have to kneel down if a group of mid-level galaxy peaks came. Therefore, there is no need to cause trouble for Phetian's rules and regulations. He, Jia Yan, is not pedantic. Besides, look at the sky. The complex traffic in the city's sky, such as the single-person or public aerial system, is almost paralyzed. If he flies into it alone and doesn't understand the traffic rules in the sky, it will probably cause a big problem. So landing is the most correct. Puff. Jia Yan landed on the ground, and there was a road on the ground. and in the sky, seeing him landing obediently, the streamlined flying instrument about 10 meters long flew away to one side without caring. He had no intention of causing trouble for him again. It probably doesn't know how much it handles this kind of thing every day. We're here, but when we enter the city, we have to rely on our legs to walk. I'll have to walk to death. Jia Yan looked at the road and saw that there were still dozens of kilometers away from the town. It would take a long time to walk. Buzz buzz. But there was nothing to rush about, because Jia Yan soon saw what looked like an earth bus on the side of the road. After getting on the bus, I imitated others and swiped the bus payment system with my bank card, and the bus actually started flying. Hey, it's actually a flying car, but that's right. Under this kind of alien technology, running on the ground is the real luxury. I remember on which planet, only nobles can run on the ground, because building roads is very difficult. Dear. Jia Yan looked at the scenery outside the window, because in the flying bus, he could see the piece number 3 city below. I thought that the technological development on the North Star was not that developed. Many powerful people in the outside world also said that the technology here is not good, but now it seems that it is an exaggeration. What they said is not developed, it should be related to the aliens. Compared with the real scientific and technological civilization, if compared with the Orion arm, it is almost less. Of course, what Jia Yan sees now is only the piece number 3 city. The entire Hepping number 3 is also in this peaceful area, and the Hepping area is under the control of the master. In addition, Biostar is also big. Quite frankly, it would be blinding to think of this place as all that North Star has to offer. Not long after riding the bus, Jia Yan followed the bus and flew into the city dozens of kilometers away. But inside the city, he didn't get out of the car quickly. Instead, he watched along with the car. While getting to know the city, he also searched the internet for his destination. In fact, the so-called development is not likely to make Jia Yan dumbfounded. After all, he has seen too many technological civilizations in the starry sky. The city of peace number 3 is just Yamato with a large number of people. What really needs to be considered is technological development. Come on, it really cannot be compared with the powerful civilizations outside. After that, Jia Yan finally took the flying bus and arrived at the place he wanted to go. It's quite cheap. This should be a means of transportation for ordinary creatures. Jia Yan got off the bus, looked at his bank card, and found that the price for taking a bus was ridiculously low. He couldn't help but sigh. He hadn't experienced this feeling for a long time. In the starry sky, he reaches a size of 30 kilometers, but inside the North Superstar, he is only more than 3 meters long, and he can enjoy the same treatment as ordinary people, which is very good. Of course, Jia Yan did not let his whole body weight fall on this bus just now. Otherwise, the actual weight of a mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy, even if it is suppressed by this northern superstar, will definitely be the car can't even move. This kind of thing has already become instinctive when entering major public places, or in other words, it is a skill that the vast majority of powerful people in this northern star naturally know. Otherwise, it will easily be tens of thousands of tons, or even high. With the weight of billions of tons, even the building of the North Star would collapse a lot. This area is the high-tech park in the entire Hepping City number 3. Intelligent brain is also released here. Let me see where there are good external merchants. Jia Yan searched the names of the surrounding merchants, but what made him very depressed was that there was no one listed as an outside merchant, a joint venture, or a store with an external name. How is it possible? There is no reason for a single master to develop technology on his own. There will definitely be external stores. Could it be that he really runs a world within Biostar? I don't believe it. Jia Yan knows that technology can only truly develop by relying on the mutual support of various industrial chains. Otherwise, it is generally difficult to develop to a very high technology. The many technological items inside Piece 3 are almost impossible to be just within the power of the master. It can be produced. What's more, the power of the masters has said that the Heping region is relatively developed, while other places are almost backward and there are many disputes. How can there be an industrial chain like this? I don't believe that they make everything by themselves. Search again. Jia Yan carefully searched the internet for a lot of news. He didn't care whether he was being monitored at the moment. Anyway, after today, he would definitely not use the low-end smart computer in his hand again. Not long after searching, he saw what he wanted to know on a corner forum-like website. So it turns out that it's not that outside technological things have not entered Peace City number 3, but because all these things have been packaged. After all, the power of the master generally does not allow such high-tech things to enter their own power. These outside high-tech things are processed in the name of local technological creations, turned into so-called locally made, and then put on sale. Haha, this is not the same as sometimes on the earth. Is it like that? In order to maintain the development of their own industries, various countries have to impose tariffs. Then a large number of foreign technologies or related things enter in the form of parts, and then they are assembled in the target country, and they become the products of that country. Original industry. After Jia Yan understood the key, he began to search further. He is looking at which brand has the most parts from outside forces, or the highest possibility of customization. He even wants to find someone to customize the system of Ji now. In this way, he can maximize the possibility of reducing the influence of this controlling power. Possibility of obtaining more personal information about him. After searching for a while, Jia Yan found the information. This is the brand. It's very customizable. Even the parts can be customized. It seems a bit expensive, but at this price, I can still afford it. Jia Yan smiled, then set off towards the shop he had chosen. It's been a long time since I went shopping as an ordinary creature. Even Jia Yan was a little out of habit. Surrounded by high-rise buildings with bright lights and green lights, the creatures coming and going are all about the same size. Even if they are small, they don't have too much of a submissive feeling. After all, walking on this street, no one knows what the other person's strength is. Even someone like Jia Yan, who is at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, will not look down on passers-by in the slightest. Because he was not sure if he bumped into a passerby casually, whether the other person would be a domain lord creature, or even an ordinary domain lord, in which case he would not be able to escape. "Hello sir, would you like to buy something?" As soon as he entered the store he selected, a female creature with a sweet voice came to greet him. This comparison is completely different from the services in other cities. It is indeed a service in a big city. "I want to customize a galaxy-level brain," Jia Yan said calmly. Galaxy level? Sir, please wait a moment." The sweet creature's eyes froze for a moment, then she seemed to understand something, and she quickly became more respectful to Jia Yan, walked out of the counter where she was, and hung up the phone. Not long after, another similar creature walked outside the store's booth, but compared to the sweet-sounding creature standing at the counter, he looked older and definitely not weaker. "Your Excellency, do you want to customize a galaxy-level brain? Please come with me." That creature was also a female. Her voice was not sweet, but it also had a hint of pleasantness. She led Jia Yan towards the elevator on one side. Following her, Jia Yan reached the second floor of the shop and was led into a reception room. "Thank you for using our store's services. I wonder what kind of smart brain you would like to customize." The other party did not call anyone else, but took his own brain and a tool cabinet to record what Jia Yan said. "My request is very simple, that is, a brain that is private enough. As you know, in this land, there seems to be not much of a brain that is private. For this, I am willing to pay a certain price, such as being twice as expensive or even twice as expensive. Also, Jia Yan said calmly. He is not used to others knowing his affairs, so in order to make himself stable in the future, he would rather pay a little more price. The other party was very meaningful. He looked at Jia Yan again, and then nodded without much expression. Okay, I understand your request as a guest. We can bring out the things you want. It's just that the price will be about double the original price. As for the accessories, we will choose the best ones at the moment. Look, this is my offer, do you accept it? She pushed the virtual screen of Ji now in front of Jia Yan and showed him. The price is not bad, but I want you to guarantee that your store will not engage in small tricks, otherwise I will definitely cause trouble for you in the future. In addition, after I get the smart head, I will also find a professional appraisal. You know what I mean. Bar. Haha, our store is open for business, and since you have found us, you must know the real power behind us. We still know how to talk about our credibility. When the other party heard what Jia Yan said, it was as if he had heard something outrageous and humiliating, and his expression was not very happy. Jia Yan didn't want to get into trouble, so he quickly put his feet up and said, "Don't be angry. I just spoke out of caution. If I didn't believe you, how could I come to your door? In fact, I also know whether your store has any fusing level patrons of similar businesses. Overall, I still trust you." What Jia Yan said finally made up for the other person's feelings, and her expression became better. Besides, she probably didn't know how much she had experienced such a thing, and maybe even her current expression was just pretending. The two parties quickly reached an agreement, and Jia Yan left the shop not long after. Not long after leaving the shop, Jia Yan looked behind him again and felt that he was not being followed. Presumably they won't be curious about me because of such a small business, and then come to follow me. It's not a big deal. Jia Yan knew that he was a little too cautious. But in a strange planet, a strange environment, and a place with many strong people, he couldn't afford to be careless. After getting on the bus again and making a big circle, Jia Yan entered a place far away from the Science and Technology Park and walked down the corner. The other party told me that this smart brain will take 3 days to temporarily manufacture, and I also need a lot of customized functions. 3 days is considered fast, so let's wait. After waiting for so many days, these 3 days are not enough. Sky. Jia Yan was not too idle in Heping City number 3. During these 3 days, he went to Shiyuan to take out another high-level energy stone he had obtained and practice it carefully. As for using the public procedure to collect wool, he also wanted to try it, but one thing is that in such a big city, doing such a thing is likely to cause public outrage, and the other thing is that he opened the public procedure. Look, an unknown number of people have already made it public, including many who are at the top of the intermediate level of the galaxy. Even his business has been robbed, so he naturally doesn't have much interest in following in others' footsteps, and he probably won't gain anything. The bigger the city, the more useless this public procedure is, because here, there is no shortage of people at the top of the intermediate galaxy. Even if there are territory lords, everyone is used to it, and there is no need to worry about the arrival of a strange intermediate galaxy being. And spend money to see the other party's specific information. Because such mid-level galactic creatures come and go every day in Peace Number 3 city, and no one is seen posing a big threat. It is too common. Who is willing to spend money to watch such a creature? Information and positioning? The following will not be charged. Inexplicably, a lot of the previous chapters were suddenly blocked today. 1 chapter and 2 chapters of Bulletin you can still be modified, but there are so many chapters I hope it won't affect everyone's reading of the later chapters. I guess there will be nothing good about the chapters after entering the starry sky. It's blocked now. I hope everyone can continue to support by you. Thank you. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2215. Maybe in such a huge city, you have to have a domain lord creature to make money through public procedures. After all, domain lords are rare, and it is even more unlikely to use public procedures to reveal their strength and positioning. Countless people will do it because of this. It is best not to mess with a domain lord who is willing to go public and invest a lot of money just to see where this domain lord is and what kind of strength he has. Unfortunately, Jia Yan is not the domain lord. Buzz. 3 days later, just as Jia Yan had exhausted the last bit of energy from the energy stone, he stopped practicing. No news yet? Alas, the energy stone has been used up first. What's next? In order to buy that brain, I actually threw all my money into it. I didn't expect it to be so expensive. I can't afford anything else with the rest. It's an energy stone for cultivation. What should I do next? Jia Yan sighed. When Bai Yuxing went to practice, money became his biggest obstacle. This made Jia Yan, who had always regarded money as dirt, feel embarrassed. In fact, it's not that he used to regard money as dirt, but that in the past, due to the difference in energy he absorbed, his strength increased quickly, so there were many ways to obtain energy, which led to him never attaching importance to money. Now, in such a powerful situation, he values money more. I wonder if it has made his outlook on life a little more perfect? Sir, you are here, I will take you upstairs. It was the same shop, and the same female creature received him. Jia Yan went to the corridor with the female creature who led him, and then entered the room where he had been received. After waiting for a short time, he saw an older female creature holding a small box. Appeared in front of Jia Yan. Hello, Your Excellency, this is the brain you want, you can take a look. She didn't say much, handed the box to Jia Yan, and looked like she was letting Jia Yan investigate slowly. Seeing the other party like this, Jia Yan had a little more confidence and trust in this smart brain. When I opened the box and took a look, I saw inside a smart brain that can be easily worn on the mid-foot. This is where Jia Yan has always worn his smart brain, making it less likely to be attacked by enemies. The smart brain doesn't have too many surprises, it's just plain and plain. Whether its appearance or workmanship, it's not much different from the cheap smart brain that Jia Yan has now. Of course, this is just the appearance. Jia Yan understands that all brains look like this, and the purpose is to confuse the enemy. The less outstanding the brain is in appearance, the more likely it is that it is a good brain. Jia Yan casually threw the old smart computer into the trash can. The personal information in it had been almost eliminated a long time ago, and he was very careful when using this smart computer, so he wouldn't be afraid of anyone throwing it away. Pick it up and investigate your own data. Click. Putting on the new smart brain, Jia Yan called up the functional interface in the smart brain. Yes, it's pretty much what I imagined. You guys are interested? Jia Yan looked at it and found that even the interface was changed according to his own requirements to resemble the local intelligent brain on the Orion arm. After all, Jia Yan was still used to the intelligent programs on the Orion arm, even though the interface was similar. It feels a lot easier. As long as you like it, do you still need to go to a professional to verify the machine? If necessary, I will be here in the reception room today, waiting for your verification information. If you have any questions, please call me at any time. The female creature actually remembered clearly what she told Jia Yan to verify the machine. Of course I have to verify it. It's better if you are willing to wait. I will let you know if everything is fine after I verify it. However, today's verification is only temporary. If I find any problems during use in the future, I will also come to you. This is natural. Our group promises a 1-year warranty. Of course, if you really find a problem, it will not be as simple as asking us for warranty. We will not offend a galaxy-level powerhouse for no reason. The other person smiled and nodded. If we talk about her previous performance, it is possible that she was pretending, but now, with the same expression, Jia Yan feels satisfied, and it is possible that her brain is completely fine. But things don't just feel right. Otherwise, wouldn't it be enough to do anything if it just feels right? Anyway, Jia Yan quickly left the shop, and then immediately went to a testing agency that he had contacted in the past 2 days. This so-called inspection agency is not a formal place. It is just a private repair point that Jia Yan searched on the internet. However, this repair point is quite famous in some underground forums because they are willing to help strong people do a lot of things. The smart brain chip, as well as the underlying modification and development of the system, have good technology and reputation. Jia Yan paid half the price of an intelligent brain and asked them to help test the intelligent brain in his hand. As for where the money comes from, as he knows, there are still many ways for a strong man to make money. For example, if he opens a program to reveal his identity for a while, even if the income here is not that much, it will not take long. It is still possible to make some money. Ever since, the money came like this, and then Jia Yan took Zhinao to the testing place. "Sir, there is nothing wrong with your new smart brain machine. It's just that the machine system is not perfectly customized. Do you need us to help you modify it?" When Jia Yan handed over the smart brain to the well-known maintenance point for testing, it didn't take long for the other party to confirm the machine's privacy and functionality, but also proposed certain improvement plans. "No need. That's it. I don't have too high requirements on performance or anything like that." Jia Yan would not let the other party take over and mess with his own system. After all, trusting one place is already a big risk. If he wants to trust another place, he is not willing to take another risk. What's more, what kind of system is this? It's not that I want to be perfect, I just need it. After paying the money, he left the bustling technology park directly. Very good. Although there is still a certain risk, this risk should be minimized. What I have to do now is to test it myself, then bind the bank account and perform some more secretive operations. After getting a brain that he could almost trust, Jia Yan let out a long sigh of relief. After being in Biostar for so long, he finally felt a little bit safer. With the previous smart brain in hand, he had to use that smart brain for so long even though he knew that he would definitely be monitored by the shrimp creature. He always felt very insecure. But now, he can finally get rid of his surveillance. Once this pressure is eliminated, it is a stress-relieving behavior for him. However, just because the brain can be used freely, it does not mean that there will be a qualitative change immediately. Just like Jia Yan at the moment, he was very happy. After that, he went to a restaurant and had a meal. He no longer worried about his whereabouts being known. He then searched many websites that might leak his secrets and information, and after that, he actually became a little boring. It truly relieves stress, but it doesn't mean that life will change too much. Well, intelligence is only one aspect. The other aspect of my current life is to think carefully about how I should behave in the future. After completing the replacement of the brain, Jia Yan can proceed to the next step. I have been in Biostar for so long, and I have a general understanding of this place. It is a very magical place. There are many things that I have never seen or even heard of before. My body has also been compressed and I can enter public places, communicating with ordinary people, and no one looks at me differently because of my strength. To me, these are all alternative senses in a certain sense. But these are all superficial things. My purpose of coming to the North Superstar has not changed. That is, I want to be promoted to Territory Lord. The only purpose of coming to the North Superstar is this. As for my promotion, I will whether you enjoy life in the North Star, go to the outer starry sky, or even return to the Orion Arm to recuperate, that is all in the future. So I have to be clear about my intentions and not take any more wrong paths. Jia Yan has no regrets about spending all his energy on his brain. After all, this matter is a serious matter and he has used up a lot of time, but he is still a little dissatisfied. It's been more than a month, but there hasn't been much progress, which is not a good thing for him. Come, let's formulate a policy first. That is how to be promoted and obtain resources. Jia Yan found a private room in a high-end restaurant and meditated silently. The well-soundproofed single room made his mind relax, as if he had returned to the silent starry sky, and he felt very comfortable. It didn't take long for him to formulate several policies. 1. Naturally, is to look for energy, high-level energy, even minerals, medicines, or the blood of unique creatures that have been absorbed before, etc., as long as it is suitable for him to devour, and can make him progress again. The second is to look at the information of other domain lords on the North Star, where there are many domain lords. Stones from other mountains can attack jade, and maybe you can summarize a lot of information about the promotion of domain lords, or in other words, in there might have been a unified set of teaching materials for the advancement of territory lords on this northern star. Jia Yan has never used his brain to search for the promotion of territory lord. He is afraid that the people monitoring him will know that he may be promoted to territory lord. After all, a galaxy intermediate and a galaxy intermediate peak, but it's a different concept. Therefore, in terms of the promotion of the territory lord, he has never done a good study to see if there will be a different situation in the North Star. As for the third one, Jia Yan wanted to see where he could hang out besides the peaceful land. There is peace in the peaceful area, but peace represents the distribution of interests, and there are too few gaps. He, a middle-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy who is not willing to join certain forces, wants to come here to help him, which seems unreasonable. So convenient. So if there is a chance, he wants to see other places. If there is an opportunity, then he will leave the peaceful land and go to those places to get what he wants. To sum up, it is the above 3 points. In addition to these 3 points, I also look around to see if I can find friends with similar strengths. It is true that many friends have many paths, but this is not necessary. Besides, it is better to talk to outsiders more often. If you come into contact, you may also be plotted, so it's better to go with the flow. Jia Yan has always been a lonely person and often acts alone, but this does not mean that Jia Yan never wants to form a group. If there was a chance to make friends with someone, he would still be willing to give it a try. The reason why he has never made friends in the outer starry sky is actually very complicated. The biggest reason is that because his strength has improved too quickly, the circle of friends he often socializes with will soon be left behind by him. That way it is impossible to talk. What did you make friends with? But it's different in the North Superstar. His talent may be great in the outside world, but within the North Star, it is likely to be relatively ordinary. Even if it is a little better than the average strong person, it is definitely not super good. At best, it is above average. What's more, you have already cultivated to the peak of the intermediate galaxy, and the friends you make will be of the same level. No matter how talented you are, what will happen? After cultivating to the level of domain master, even he will stop for a while. In this situation, talent is nothing, so the friends he makes will not have the slightest problem in the past. After all, whoever has good talent will also. It's better not to pull friends too far apart in a short period of time. So here, it is still possible for Jia Yan to try and make friends at Jiyuan. If I follow the cultivation theory, I think, is this equivalent to making friends in Yin Yang Tao? Haha, I think too much. Others don't want to play cultivation games with me. Jia Yan smiled self-deprecatingly. In the North Giant, his yin and yang path is probably only one of the flowers blooming, because the North Giant is the center of the entire galaxy. It can be compared with the other 3 stars that revolve around the central black hole of the Milky Way. Superstar, here, can almost be said to include all kinds of sex in the entire galaxy, and even the starry sky cultivation method practiced by the outside world is probably just one of countless cultivation methods here. His yin and yang dao, inside the North Star, is probably just a cultivation method that is blooming like a newborn baby. Of course, other cultivation methods may be somewhat related to each other, and it is difficult to break away from the current cosmic cultivation methods, but Jia Yan's yin and yang dao is equivalent to walking out of another avenue, which is fundamentally different. It's just this difference that people who don't understand yin and yang Tao, or who haven't practiced yin and yang Tao deeply, can't understand it at all. Jia Yan stayed in the private room of the store for a while, then paid and left. When I came, I was very worried. When I left, although I didn't say that I had relieved all my worries, I also straightened my thoughts a little and looked refreshed. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website.